Hello, hello. Happy Thanksgiving, we're coming up to Christmas pretty soon, so happy holidays. Mark is back, and I'm going to be reading today because he's feeling a little bit under the weather. And so we're going to be doing chapter 22 to 24, I think. And this story is all about Balak and Balaam and a lot of interesting stuff going on, and I did read it before, but I forgot it again because it's always strange stuff. But I do remember about blessings and cursings in this chapter, which kind of relates to current theology of blessing Israel or cursing Israel. So there may be that kind of came from this section of the Bible. Who knows? But we'll talk about it. Hi, Mark.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. So, I could just start reading chapter 22. Balak sends for Balaam. Do you have any introduction about this whole
Hmm.
story?
Well, this is kind of a self-contained story. Balak is the king, and by the way, I always used to get these guys as their names mixed up because they're kind of similar. And I found out a good way to remember their name is the K is like a king, you know. So
Hmm.
Balak is the king with the K for king, and Balaam is he's like a I don't, he's like they call him like a seer or a he's kind of like a pagan diviner, a magician, sorcerer kind of guy. So he's not an Israelite, and it's a pretty interesting story. So we're not going to hear about Moses or any of these guys, and it's kind of like a different a different setting. Although the place is the same, if you can see that map. Is
Yeah.
this the Balaam blesses? Okay, so it's and apparently Balaam kind of came from up north a bit, and they sent for him, and he comes down, and there's the Jordan River there. So I think the rest of the book of Numbers, for the most part, will take place around here,
Okay.
because all
Good.
the Israelites are kind of camped out right here now, and now we're going to see Moab is there, which I believe Balak comes from there, and so that people are getting kind of nervous. These Israelites are on the move, and we're also going to see the talking donkey incident, which is another part of the Bible people like to kind of make fun of, or you know say that, oh,
Yeah.
how can you believe that Bible? Do you believe donkeys can talk? You hear that, I'm sure everyone's heard that. I've heard it before. So we'll take a
Yeah.
look at that, and we can kind of see what's really going on there. And
But I mean, God can make anyone talk. I mean, he kind of
well, yeah.
the serpent in the garden was talking, although we don't know
Yeah.
what form that was in anyway. But yeah, all right. Well, let's just get started.
And we're also going to talk about Satan a little bit.
Oh, great. That's always fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Then the sons of Israel set out and camped in the plains of Moab, with beyond the Jordan, opposite of Jericho. Can we see Jericho on the map? Moab
Uh,
beyond Jordan. Oh, I see it.
it's
It's
right
right
here. Here's
there.
Jericho
Yeah.
right there. Yeah, yeah. So they're right here, basically, more or less.
And
Um,
then Moab comes up a lot later on with other books.
yeah,
Um,
it's right there. Yeah.
yeah, so that's also a big part of the story for later books. Um, and Balak the son of Zippor saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites. So Moab was in great fear because of the people, for they were numerous, and Moab was in the dread of the sons of Israel. Then Moab said to the elders of Midian, now this assembly will lick up all that is around us, as the ox licks up the grass of the field. And Balak the son of Zippor was the king of Moab at the time. So
Yeah, so they're kind of worried
in
about the
Moab.
Israelites. Yeah, they're worried about the threat of the Israelites coming. Now here it does say they're numerous,
Yeah.
so that's one to put on your list for your,
Yes.
but it's a bit of a relative term. We
Ah, they
don't
were
know the
millions,
quantity.
millions.
So yeah. Well, yeah, don't get me started.
I know. All right. Well, we know we got an open dispute on that one. Okay. So he sent messengers to Balaam, the son of Beor at Pethor, which is near the river in the land of the sons of his people, to call him, saying, Behold, a people came out of Egypt, and behold, they cover the surface of the land, and they are settled opposite me.
Yeah, this is another one to put on your list there for
Yup,
you.
millions. So now, please come curse this people for me, since they are too mighty for me. Perhaps I may be able to strike them down and drive them out of the land. For I know that he whom you bless is blessed, for he whom you curse is cursed. Now you hear that a lot, even today.
Well,
Um,
this is a big, you're going to see this a lot in Deuteronomy, especially.
yeah.
And I was just reading about this yesterday in Galatians, they were talking about in Romans, how Israel the Israelites did end up being cursed because of their rebellion, like later on,
Yeah, but that's
Um,
if God does it, not the
yeah.
people. So he's basically, I think the whole theme here is that he wanted to curse them, but he wasn't
Well,
allowed.
we'll see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to see that. But it's like this whole concept of blessing and cursing, they took this very seriously back then. We don't really talk about this kind of stuff too much these days.
Yeah. Well, there's a
Maybe
lot to
people do
say
a little
about
bit.
that, which I thought we could talk about it at the
I
end of
mean,
this.
yeah. So it's a very serious thing, and it's almost like a military tactic in this case. It's like because back then everything was supernatural. They
Well,
all had their
God was with
gods,
them,
and
right? So if God blessed them and he chose them to be his people, then you couldn't go around blessing and cursing.
yeah,
But it also
yeah.
seems to think that there must have been something spiritual that people were able to do, like
Yeah,
cursing the
yeah.
whole
That's
people.
why they had. That's why Balaam has a job. That's Balaam's job is to. He's in fact, he's kind of like a shaman or something. And no, I don't think Balaam was a transvestite, but back then the transvestites basically did this job. They were blessed. And as you know, have you lived in India, didn't you?
My
Before?
younger days, but that wasn't
Yeah.
part of
Okay.
the
But they
thing over
have,
there.
no, it is with the Hydra. You know the Hydra.
Yeah, but that's just
They
like a
bless, they
small
curse
sect of
people.
people of out of billions
Yeah,
that
yeah,
go
but they
around and do
bless and
that.
they go around. I know Indian people. They said, yeah, they'll be sitting on a train, and then the Hydra will come and sit next to them and threaten to curse them unless they get
Oh yeah,
money.
there is a lot of cursing thing and blessing thing too over there. They're very
Yeah.
superstitious about a lot of that. But
So,
I
and that's a
mean,
kind of a window into the ancient world, I think. And even where I live, they do this kind of stuff. It's like a very serious thing. And that's what trick or treat is basically. It's like
well, also your
if you don't
parents.
bless me, I will curse you.
Yeah. I think the spiritual thing is still around today where people are blessing and cursing whether they know it or not. So I think there's principles that kind of got laid out, or at least a window. You know how Jacob blessing by his father, and then he couldn't pass it on to the brother um, Esau, right? So there was this
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
that people could bless and curse, and
yeah.
their own children, right? And then in this story, apparently anybody who thought, okay, if they wanted to curse those people, they must have some powers to be able to
I
do
guess it
that.
means I guess it means they have the favor of the gods. Like whoever your god is, that supernatural power is going to help you. Or if it's a
Well,
curse,
there's
they're going to hurt
demons.
you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. For them, it's the demon. Moab had their gods
Yeah, I
and their
mean, those
beliefs,
weren't.
and so they want that. That's why they make offerings to the gods, is so that they get blessed by the gods. They're wanting like these the powers to help them out, and people still do this today, right? That's why people go to the temple and burn incense and whatever, And even Christians do this. We pray to God for a blessing or something. We pray for other people,
Well, we
So
were supposed to give each other blessings, but I think
yeah,
the curse world is still real that a lot of us today don't really understand it or know about it. I do think,
some people do.
a lot of people do talk about like they feel like they're cursed with something, or
Yeah, yeah, I
familiar.
feel like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, we all kind of have that one thing, right? Like, why can't this be broken? And we pray about it and feel like it's supernatural that's taking away something from your life. And so it's probably exists in somewhere. I mean, they always talk about it, right? Even at church, like you should get deliverance. You talk to a priest, you talk to Christians, at least in the Christian realm. But then in other cultures, they do have something similar. They're always trying to break something, like the shamans
Yeah,
that you're talking about. They have that same thing too. Like they
yeah.
go in there to meet them to break or whatever, or even curse other people. I think that's still like witchcraft, spells, those are curses.
Witchcraft. I mean, that's what it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was very much part of daily life back then. But even now, I went to the bookstore the other day and there's a whole section on, I think they called it even like magic in the occult or something. It was
Yeah.
like, they have whole sections at bookstores for these kind of
Oh,
magic
yeah.
books and witchcraft. And so they must be selling these books, so people
Well,
are
there
still trying
is
to do this stuff.
a lot they market that to teenagers to
Yeah.
cast spells, I mean, seriously, there are like thousands, not even books, but online stuff, apps to cast spells, white magic, black magic, whatever they want. The whole Ouija board, that was all part of that
Yeah,
too.
that's if you
Summoning.
get if you buy the there's two bands I know who I think it was last year they put out reissues of their old albums and they included a free Ouija board. It
Yeah.
was Motley Crue, Shout Out the Devil, and Motorhead. They actually, and just think if I bought those albums back in the 80s when I was a teenager, right? But they didn't
Yeah.
come with a free Ouija board. But just think if you bought like a teenage boy or anybody buys these albums today, it comes with a free Ouija board, you're probably going to use it, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
you don't know any better. When you're 13 years old, you don't know any better, right? You just
That's the
don't know. And you're like,
problem.
hey, Motley Crue says I should play with the Ouija board, so let's give it a try, you know?
Yeah, it's
I
unfortunate because
mean,
you really don't know until you start getting into God's word that any of that stuff is even wrong. Like growing up when I was younger, I never thought any of that stuff had anything to do with anything. You just kind of
or
go,
even I didn't even take like when I was a teenager, I had a friend who had a book of like magic and witchcraft and stuff. And one day, like, I mean, it actually one day it like fell off the shelf. The shelf
wow,
was on the wall, but it fell off the shelf and it landed in the middle of the room, like
wow.
at 10 feet away from from the
Yeah,
shelf.
that's
It was
scary.
weird, but I didn't take it serious. Like I didn't even think it was real. So I
Right.
wasn't really afraid of it, or I didn't think it was, I just thought it was a joke, like I didn't take it seriously at all. And even all these rock bands in the 80s, like Ozzy and all, these guys were into like witchcraft. And I just thought, well, that's just kind of stupid. It's just kind of an image thing. But so I didn't even think it had any power at all because I just didn't believe in any of that stuff. But, you know,
Well, now you know though, right? That all that has power, spiritual
yeah.
something.
And some,
There's-
yeah, yeah. So it could have, like, and you see it in these movies, right? These, teenagers will break out the Ouija board and just think it's a
Yeah.
joke, and they get drunk at a party and they play with it, and then a demon is unleashed. You know,
I thought about something
Uh,
recently because some of the movies you don't know what's gonna be in it until you end up watching it. And I think there's some stuff that's in the movies because I couldn't watch some of them. I had to turn it off. It made me feel so uneasy, just like stuff that I probably would not have felt uneasy as a teenager. But now I can't like I can't watch it. And it felt like for 5 minutes, oh my God, something was coming out of that movie. Do you think it's all
probably.
like,
Well, it's still there. If there is a supernatural world full of demons and angels and demons and all this stuff, then they're still around. Our
yeah,
culture doesn't really believe in it these days, but we kind of do because all the movies are about this stuff.
right.
But back then it was like they knew it almost as a fact, and they utilized it. I mean, just think of today if like an army general consulted a diviner. I mean,
Yeah.
they probably do though. I think they actually do still. I think
Do
they
you
know the
think there could
supernatural world
be,
is real.
do you think that supernatural work can come out of the movies onto unsuspecting people, or is that just still
It
images
can
only?
well somehow, yeah, it can influence people
Yeah.
somehow. I mean, there's a reason they're doing all this stuff. So I don't know the
Yeah.
exact influence, but there's some kind of agenda, which actually next week in chapter 25, we'll could probably even talk more about that. The entertainment industry is kind of based, I think, on what happens
Oh, yeah.
next week's episode. But
Yeah.
anyway, all
All
right,
right.
let's
I'll
keep
read.
going. Where
Okay.
are we now?
6, I think. So now please come curse the people for me, since they are too mighty for me. Perhaps I may be able to strike them down, drive them out of the land, for I know that he whom you bless is blessed, for whom you curse is cursed. Oh, maybe I already read that already. So the elders of Moab and elders of Midian went away with the fees for divination in their land, and they came to
Their
Balaam.
hand.
Oh, I'm
Sorry,
sorry. Yeah.
in their hand.
Divination in their hand, and they came to Balaam and spoke Balak's word to him. And he said to them, spend the night here, and I will bring word back to you as Yahweh may speak to me. And the leaders of Moab stayed with Balaam.
Okay, let's hold on a minute. So there's a bit of controversy over this thing here. That's, when you see things in italics here, I think that means there's a bit of debate over what that means. But most translations have something like this, but it's did they bring money to give to Balaam, or did they actually bring some kind of omen? Like they would cut up animals and look at their guts to see certain things. So it could have been
Uh, well, what
with
does the
their own
King James Version say about that?
the oh, hold on a minute here. Where's the view? I got three different things going on there. All right. Septuagint, Hebrew. All right. Rewards of divination, which is kind of the same thing. Um,
Yeah,
but I mean, yeah, there's always a little, there's a,
but rewards could
anyway,
be
it's
anything.
maybe not that big a deal, but it's, because it's possible anyway, in a way, it's a big deal because last time I read this, I wasn't sure that Balaam even got paid. But so this could have been a down payment, you know what I mean? Because I think later on it says he's going to get paid at the end, but he keeps turning down the money actually. So anyway, it's something to keep an eye out for. Does Balaam get paid or not? He may be getting paid a bit here, or this could be something else they're giving him, some kind of they could have been practicing their own divination and they came up with some sign because they had all kinds of weird stuff they would do back then. They would look at like kidneys of animals, and they're trying to like read the signs to see what they should do.
Yeah,
So
but I don't
they
think
have
this
some
is
kind of bad
reading.
feeling,
Right.
you know.
But I don't think they're doing that so much. I think that it's a transaction of some sort.
Yeah, it could be the
So,
down payment, but I'm not
right.
like we have to look out carefully. Does he actually take the money?
All right,
Um,
we'll keep that
just something to look
open.
out for. Yeah,
All right.
because
Any,
Balaam becomes a villain later on in the Bible. He's mentioned many times in the Bible, always in a very bad way. But that's another thing for us to think about as we read this. Is he like a good is he a really bad guy, or is he not so bad? And you know, who is Balaam? In a way, he's
well, I
just doing
mean,
his
his
job.
name kind of implies later on, doesn't it, that it's tied to Baal worship?
No, no,
But where does
no.
that come from then?
Baal has already been going on already at this point.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I'm saying
that's
that
a deity. No, that has nothing to do with
no, no, I'm not saying that he's a deity. I'm just saying the name
no,
Balaam versus like in
no.
that area, if they worship Baal, uh,
Well, the first two letters are the same because Baal is Baal and this is Balaam. And this
all
is
right,
Balak, right? This is also Balak.
right,
I mean, you could look at the etymology of these words, but I wouldn't read too much into that, to be honest. But
all right.
maybe a lot of people's names were related to the deity that they had. So
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
it's
it
a good
may
point.
have established that region as to what was
Well, no,
going
he's definitely not an Israelite, but he seems to know who Yahweh is. because that's
Right.
his job, right? He knows about all the different deities in the area.
All right.
So so he's not an Israelite. He's not loyal to Yahweh. He's not in the covenant. He's a pagan diviner.
Okay.
But he's actually Yahweh uses him. So anyway, it's a pretty interesting story. So let's see what happens next.
Okay. He said to them, "Spend the night here, and I will bring word back to you as Yahweh may speak to me." And then the leaders of Moab stayed with Balaam. And then God came to Balaam and said, "Who are these men with you?" And Balaam said to God, "Balak, the son of Zippor, king of Moab, and he sent word to me. Behold, there was a people who came out of Egypt, and they covered the surface of the land. Now come and curse them for me. Perhaps I may be able to fight against them and drive them out."
So he's quoting what
Yeah,
he's so actually now Balaam is talking to Yahweh, which is pretty
yeah.
interesting, right? And he kind of had this, his job was to talk to the to talk to the supernatural world. So he probably interacted with other, deities, gods, small g gods, which are
Hmm.
Elohim, divine beings, demons, He was
Yeah.
and now Yahweh like this is probably his first time he's interacted with Yahweh, and he probably thinks Balaam's thinking Yahweh is just another one of these supernatural beings, not a big deal, right? Just another local deity, no problem, right?
So do you
So
know where Zipporah uh
no,
land?
that's a person, Zippor,
Yeah. Where she come from?
Balak. Balak is the son of Zippor. Zippor is his father. That's just like his name.
Oh, Zipporah.
Uh,
Yeah, but which tribe? Um,
He's king of Moab.
okay. So he's not,
Yeah.
they're not Israelites at all then.
No one is here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this whole story is not about. They're trying to curse the Israelites. That's it. There's no Israelite appears in this story specifically.
Okay.
Um,
Um, and
so I
God
think you're here.
said to Balaam, "Do not go with them. You shall not curse the people, for
Mm.
they are blessed."
Yeah, that's basically the main point, right?
Right.
So Balaam thinks he can manipulate Yahweh because
Mhm.
that's his job as a diviner, right? And Balak is paying or wants to pay Balak to get Yahweh to curse Israel. So Balaam thinks he can still do this somehow. And then Yahweh says, "Don't go with them. You shall not curse the people, for they are blessed."
Um,
Um,
so Balaam arose in the morning and said to Balak's leaders, "Go back to your land, for Yahweh has refused to allow me to go with you." And the
see,
leaders
see,
of Moab,
no, he's actually kind of obeys Yahweh sometimes, right?
yeah, I think up to this point he has been.
So he's like, "Hey, Yahweh's not going to do it. Sorry, can't do it," and he's not taking their money, right?
Yeah.
Unless he got a down payment already. I don't know, but
Well, I
so
think he
anyway,
did take the money that was offered, but now he's
that's not
telling them
clear.
to go back. Um,
Yeah, so he wouldn't have taken the money if he can't do the job, though. And he's hospitals do that, but I'm not sure.
right. Well, I don't know if that was a big part of the thing anyway. I think the big thing is they came to him to do something because he must have some spiritual powers to do it. And then
Yeah.
Yahweh said, "Nope, can't do it."
Okay. All right. So keep going.
Um, and
14.
the leaders of Moab arose and came to Balak and said, "Balaam refused to go with us." And then Balak again sent leaders more numerous and more honorable than the former. And they came to Balaam and said to him, "Thus say Balak, the son of Zippor, let nothing, I beg you, withhold you from coming to me. For I will indeed honor you richly, and I will do whatever you say to me. Please come then, curse the people for me." So they're willing to give him a ton of money, whatever he wants.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
And Balaam replied to the servants of Balak, "Though Balak were to give me his house full of silver and gold, I could not do anything, either small or great, to trespass the command of Yahweh my God." So he's already been tempted with ton of real money, silver and gold. I think now we can pretty much say they were trying to
But he
offer
hasn't.
him.
They're definitely trying to offer him money to do this, but they
Yeah,
haven't actually given him the money. That's what I'm saying is,
yeah,
yeah,
but I think
they're,
they know that he can command that, right? This is like,
but he says but he cannot, I could not do anything. So
right,
he's
because
saying,
he's following
so,
God.
so in a way, he's, like why, so in a way, although,
It
yeah,
highlights
so
the
why
silver
is
and gold.
Balaam such a villain when right here he says, I can't go against the will of Yahweh. And he even says, my God here. So, although some people would say, well, we can't really trust Balaam. He's a bit of a shifty character now because Balaam is talking to this king of Moab right now, Balak. So
Well,
is
there's
Balaam,
nothing.
you know,
So what this is telling me so far is that he's basically being tempted with ton of money, whatever he wants
yeah, and
to,
he's not cursing Israel.
right, because he's
He's not doing it.
following God. So
Yeah.
that he is being righteous. Can you imagine turning down money over a thought that God said, well, don't do it, right? Especially if you're in an
So
area.
far. Yeah. Yeah.
So I do think he's kind of a believer.
Well, I wouldn't
Saying
know.
he's
I don't
going
know
to,
if we go that far. Maybe if you just look at this, it looks like it, but we'll see. We'll
yeah,
see.
but
Well,
you turn
we're
all of
just
that
getting started though.
down.
We're just getting started.
I know, but it's important to know his character up to this point. So this is
Yeah,
like
he's
when
a pretty
Satan and
straight
Jesus were.
yeah.
So imagine Satan and Jesus, he's tempting Jesus, I will give you the world. And he said, no. So this is kind of like a little bit of temptation for this guy who could command a lot of wealth
Oh
and
yeah.
saying no to that to follow God.
Also it's kind of like because they're right here now, right? So it's kind of like the Exodus story where God is using Pharaoh. Pharaoh is basically a puppet in God's hands, right? But it's the opposite where Pharaoh basically is trying to curse Israel. And so at
Yeah.
the beginning of the Exodus, there's God is kind of has total control over Pharaoh. And now at the end of it, they're just about to enter the promised land. The end of this 40 years in the wilderness, God is now kind of he does kind of use Balaam as kind of a puppet eventually, as we're going to see. So
Yeah, but
there's this other,
so far they're kind of obeying. He's doing what he's
oh
got
yeah,
told him.
for sure.
So
Yeah,
let's
keep
not make him
going.
the bad guy just yet.
Yeah,
Let's see
yeah,
what
yeah, exactly.
happens. All
Yeah.
right. So now, please, you also stay here tonight, and I will know what else Yahweh will speak to me. And God came to Balaam at night and said to him, if the men have come to call you, rise up and go to them, but only the word which I speak to you shall you do. So Balaam arose in the morning, saddled his donkey, and went with the leaders of Moab.
Okay, hold on a minute. So he said, do not go with them, right?
Hmm.
Originally, and then now God is finally saying, um, rise up and go with them now.
Yeah,
So that's another kind of interesting thing. Go with them. So originally, do not go with them,
right,
but then go with them. But only the word which I speak to you, you shall do.
right.
So, okay.
Okay. So he's got a job.
But yeah, I think it's one of these things where it's hard to explain that one actually. Uh, do not go with them, but then now it's okay to go with them. But we're gonna see that God really doesn't want him to go.
But let's go
Anyway,
back a little bit because I want to see what's changed. Um, go back up a little bit.
okay. So here's the do not go with them.
Yeah, you shall not
Maybe
curse
I'll
them
highlight
with
that.
less. And then they arose,
Yeah,
go back to your land. Yahweh's refused. So he's saying, tell them to go back. And then the leaders,
yeah,
they went, Balaam has refused to go with us. And then Balak again sent the leaders with numerous and more. And then Balaam said to them this, okay, I will do you, and then will please come to me. Please come then, curse. Okay, the Balaam replied, through or give me Hosanna. All right, so
What else? Yahweh will speak to me. So I think this could be kind of part of God's plan. You know, it's like these Moabites keep coming back, and he's
yeah,
just kind of
because
stringing them along a little bit. You
right, because
know,
when he told them to go back the first time, they just brought back even more prestigious
yeah.
people, more stuff.
The Moabites came back. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Moabites are the ones who are not stopping.
Right. So then God just said,
Balaam.
all
Yeah.
right, now this time, if they're going to do all this, let's.
Yeah, we'll teach them a lesson kind of thing.
Yeah,
Um,
well, let's see. Okay, so
so
now
the
he's
donkey,
got his
now we got the
donkey.
donkey
Yeah.
with the leaders. Okay, so Balaam's donkey and the angel. Now this is going to get we're going to go off on a little tangent here. But go
Okay,
ahead.
but
Not yet. Not
this
yet.
is a little confusing. Go back up because God told him to go with them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he arose and then saddled a donkey and went with the leaders. But then it says, but God was angry because he was going.
I know.
That sounds like a girl.
Well, I wouldn't say that. You would be
Yeah,
careful
but
about
what
that. But
happened though? So he changed his mind. Why
yeah,
is he
you're
mad?
right. It
Because he
does.
told them.
Um,
Does that make any sense?
yeah, I read
Testing him?
some explanations. It's one of those things where he doesn't like his originally he doesn't want do not go with them, right? So that was
Yeah,
kind of
but
the
he,
original
he
idea,
told
but
them.
yet these people, so it's like, okay, you guys are gonna go. I don't really want you guys to go, but you can go. The thing is, he doesn't say, "Oh, just go and do whatever you want." Now, Yahweh actually is controlling the whole situation, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
but there's
God
something
has a
wrong
plan.
between the
No,
last.
no, I'd say God has a plan. God's like, okay, if you want to go, I will show you why you shouldn't have gone in the first place. Like you can go because you're still not going to be able to curse Israel, and
Yeah, but
I'm going to
that's
show
not
you. I'm
why
going to
he's
do some
going.
crazy stuff.
Go back to the
Like,
previous
no,
paragraph.
no,
No,
don't
but
worry about this.
no, but he,
This
he
will
didn't
become more
say
clear.
he
We'll
didn't
figure it out
say
later.
okay, but he's only following his command. So I think it's fair. Like he told him to go, rise up and go. So there's no reason like, well, if you're gonna go, I'm gonna be getting mad at you if
No,
you do to
if
go.
the men have come to call you, rise up and go with them. But only the word which here's the issue, I think. Only the word which I speak to you, you shall do. So anyway, no, we got to see what happens here. We got to
All
get
right.
more
Well,
data.
God, okay. But God was angry because he was going, so the angel of Yahweh
Oh,
took his
angel of Yahweh,
hand, uh, that's angel of the Lord, right?
angel of Yahweh. That's what it says. Yeah.
Yeah, took his hand in the way as an adversary against
Uh-oh.
him. And now he was riding on his donkey, and his two young men were with him.
Okay, let's read the next verse, and then we're gonna go on a little tangent.
All right. Then the donkey saw the angel of Yahweh standing in the way with his drawn sword in his hand, and the donkey turned off from the way and went into the field. So Balaam struck the donkey to turn it back into the way. And then the angel of Yahweh stood in the narrow path of the vineyards with a wall on this side and the wall on that side. And the donkey saw the angel of Yahweh, and it pressed itself to the wall, pressed Balaam's foot against the wall, so he struck it again. And then the angel of Yahweh passed on ahead and stood in a narrow place where there was no way to turn to the right
All
hand
right,
or the left.
all right, let's stop there. So we'll talk first. You know what this adversary word in Hebrew is?
No.
Haha, this will be fun. Hebrew. Uh, it is number 22, Satan.
Satan,
Satan.
Satan, Satan?
Yeah. Thus it's like the Hasatan or the Satan. Yeah, Satan. Satan, that's where the word Satan comes from. So in
Yeah.
the Old Testament, basically, Satan is never a personal name in the Old Testament.
So
Maybe
maybe
there's one or two verses. It's debatable, but it's a word. It's like a common noun. So in most versions, they'll call it the adversary. This is King James. An adversary.
so maybe
Adversaries.
Satan was still working for Yahweh.
No, 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 no. This isn't. It's forget about Satan as a personal name.
No, I
This
know,
word
but it
here.
does
This
say
is
angel.
the. Yeah, no, it's the
Is it
angel of.
God
Just wait a
himself?
minute. So the angel of Yahweh is an adversary. The word, it's just a word. It's not anyone's name. This is not
Yeah.
Satan with a capital S. It's a
Yeah,
Satan
yeah.
with a
Okay.
small s. It's just a word, right? Normal word. And it's
Yeah.
used, in fact, it's used about like, I don't know, 20 times or so in the Old Testament. It never refers to capital S, Mr. Satan, you know? So it's just a word.
All
But
right.
actually, the word executioner is probably better. Executioner. Because look, he's got a drawn sword in his hand. And I can just for a reference, I could show you let me see, what's another good verse here? Uh, there's other words where this, if you look at, here's one. Well, that's really complex, that one. Like here, some days you'll see it as accuser, right? Like in the book of Job. This is also Satan in Hebrew, this one here.
Yeah, but all of
Um,
those characteristics are referring to Satan himself, the adversary, the accuser.
well, how do you know that? That now you know that now
Because there's a verse
in in in
somewhere that says it.
2025.
Well, no, there's a verse that says it. The
Now this one actually says capital S in this translation here. It
yeah,
says capital S Satan. Um, before
I
the
think it is.
now you have angel of Yahweh and Satan to accuse him. Now this word here, accuse, is a verb, to Satan him. So no, this is like a complex topic that you almost have to forget everything you know about Satan and just read what it says. And this, it's not always a capital S. What is this? Zechariah 3:1. Um, it's yeah. Okay. It does say that in there. Most translations probably it's not necessarily a capital S Satan here, by the way. Um, so anyway,
No, but
this
throughout many books, Satan is described as the accuser and the
well,
adversary.
that's what the word means. Yeah, the word is translated as accuser, adversary, but what I'm saying here is executioner is often a better word, which nobody uses, but there's been books
What
written
is
about it.
a
God raised up another executioner to him because actually, see this angel of Yahweh has come to kill Balaam, or in
yeah,
this case, that's Zechariah right there. But so right
but
here,
is
the
angel
angel of
of
Yahweh.
Yahweh, is that
So
him
my yeah.
himself?
So my all we need to know right now really is the angel of Yahweh. That's the same angel of Yahweh that's always appeared so far in the Old Testament, has come as an executioner. That's what it says.
No, as an
Executioner because he's got a
adversary. I
draw
think
in this
executioner is
drawn
pretty
sword.
strong.
Adversary is not a strong enough word. Um, Drawn sword in
But
his hand. We're going to see, you see the angel of Yahweh with the sword. That means judgment has come and he's about to kill somebody. That's like the wrath of God, the judgment. And we've seen this used against the Israelites already. Okay. So
in
anyway,
the
there's other
modern,
times.
in the other version, like modern English version, or probably even King James version, it says angel of the Lord. So it is the same angel of the Lord that was in all the previous books. And
That's because they translate Yahweh as Lord in most English Bibles. The Hebrew says Yahweh, and they know Lord, capital L or with capital letters, right?
yeah, but I'm saying,
That
remember
means
in the
Yahweh.
Yeah, angel of the Yahweh or angel of the Lord are synonymous as being Yahweh himself in the angel form.
Yeah, so he's come as an executioner against Balaam. That's all I'm saying. But
No,
just be
I
aware
understand.
this is the word ha-satan. This is Satan in Hebrew, and it's used, over 20 times in the Old Testament, and
But if
usually as someone who's come to bring judgment upon wicked or disobedient people, as an executioner. Sometimes he actually does kill people. Sometimes he doesn't. But so yeah, I mean
yeah,
that's another topic of how did they come up with, how did they start calling Satan, capital S, Mr. Satan eventually? It probably is based on this Hebrew word. And there's been books written about it. There's a guy I want to interview actually. Maybe I'll just interview that guy. He can explain it more.
okay, but I don't think I want to go as far as just saying this is executioner. I think it's just
I do.
adversary, meaning that it was against him. That's what an
Well,
adversary
what I'm
means.
saying is a new idea for most people,
No, I
but
understand.
he's got
But
the drawn sword. If someone shows up to your house right now with a drawn sword, is he an adversary or an executioner?
well, they don't have to actually do it. So like
Yeah,
adversary
I
is
know.
kind of a legal term. So that
That's more the book of Job. Book of Job, you do see adversary might be a better word in the book of Job. What I'm
but
saying is
even
that
in the
people
king,
have, see, I give out new ideas sometimes, right? And maybe I'm
yeah.
not explaining it well, but there's whole books written, so anyway, in the book of Job, adversary kind of makes sense. But then what happens is people see the book of Job, oh, it's adversary. So let's use that word for every time this word Satan appears in the Hebrew Bible. But what I'm saying is
I know what
he's
you're
got a drawn,
because
he's an
he's drawing
executioner.
sword,
He's an
you're thinking
assassin,
that he came to kill.
He's an assassin. No,
Well,
he
I mean,
kills, the
he
angel of
God,
Yahweh kills people.
sure. Well, but you already know that
This is
Yahweh has
judgment.
judgment.
And then the sword symbolizes judgment is either imminent, and sometimes its judgment is stopped through. That's what the priests do, right? Because there's kind of judgment on the whole world to a certain extent, and
But we
which
know that
has been
Yahweh can keep
placated.
judgment. We know that. He's
Yeah,
not like the sweet old angel pictures that people want to make it out. It's so I'm just gonna leave it at adversary for right now.
sure. Yeah, that's what
I
it says in
understand what you're
most English
saying.
versions. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Uh,
like. I'm just saying.
yeah,
So
he gets
anyway, the main point
executed.
here, this is the Satan in Hebrew.
Yeah.
And that's a whole show right there, just unpacking with this the use of the word Satan in the Old Testament. That's a whole show. That's a whole book to unpack all that. We don't have time for that. But
No,
anyway, just be aware this is the word. It's not Mr. Satan. It's common noun like a
but
flower
it's a
or a tree.
description, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go past 27.
So you read most of this already.
Um,
The donkey,
oh,
27.
okay. Then the donkey saw the angel of Yahweh and laid down under Balaam. So Balaam was angry and struck the donkey with a stick. And Yahweh opened the mouth of the donkey and it said to Balaam, what have I done to you that you have struck me these 3 times? And then
Wait,
Balaam
wait,
said,
wait, wait. Stop here. So the donkey saw the angel of Yahweh,
yeah,
but Balaam did not.
right.
Balaam doesn't see so Balaam is the seer, the diviner. His job is to interact with supernatural beings. He cannot see the angel of Yahweh, but the donkey can.
Well, I'm assuming because he was doing something in sin that God didn't want him to do, because he was already angry at him anyway. So because he was disobeying at some level, perhaps he couldn't see Yahweh anymore. But
Yeah.
donkey's still innocent. So
And then now, okay, so the donkey is talking now. So what would you say to someone who says, "Oh, you believe the Bible? Oh, so you believe donkeys can talk?" I've literally heard that exact phrase.
well, they
What
make
would you say,
cartoons and movies. Shrek, I mean, that's donkey right there. So
Mr. Ed? So
yeah,
donkeys can
all
talk,
kinds of stuff. So all of that is really coming from this story. Like they've
Mr. Ed?
taken that. And
But look what it says, though. Look what it says. So did the donkey talk? Let's ask that question. Did the donkey actually talk?
yes, it said opened his mouth and said
Well,
to
did the
Balaam,
donkey talk? Who opened the mouth? The
God
donkey?
did,
Ah, Yahweh opened the mouth of the donkey.
right?
So who's talking?
The donkey. Oh, I mean, God is
Yahweh.
talking.
Yahweh is talking. Yahweh, who opened the mouth of the donkey to talk? The donkey or God?
Well, God did, but he's talking through
Yahweh
the
opened the
donkey.
mouth of the donkey. The donkey, I would say, in my opinion, the donkey is not talking. God is talking through the donkey. There's a bit of a difference there. You understand?
Yeah, but I don't know.
God is talking through the donkey, and then we're going to see God actually talks through Balaam as well. A pretty amazing prophecy, actually, is given through the mouth of Balaam, a pagan diviner. God talks through the donkey. The
But
donkey
he's
himself is
not.
not listen. The donkey is not listening and talking back and forth with Balaam, having a conversation, thinking and making words. The donkey is just a
Well, how do you know
just kind
that?
of a dumb.
I don't think they're
Look at
dumb
what it
at
said.
all.
Who
They're
opened the
not.
mouth of the donkey? Who opened the
Well,
mouth of
okay,
the donkey?
God can open the mouth so he can speak. Doesn't mean that donkey was a ventricle, those just a talking.
That's what I think. Yeah. The
No,
donkey is not
no.
thinking and listening, and donkey doesn't know how to speak. This would probably, I don't know what language
Well, they
this would
don't know how
be.
to speak, but they do understand things. The animals are not that dumb like we want to make it out to be. In fact, donkeys are very, very smart
But
creatures.
they don't speak.
Yeah,
Yahweh,
they
so
don't
this is like a
speak, but
miracle. What I'm saying, this is a miracle. This is
it
God
is a
demonstrating his
miracle.
sovereignty. So this is not, oh, do you believe donkeys can talk? No, donkeys cannot talk, but God can do miracles in the creation that he made.
Yeah.
God can intervene in his own creation and you and speak through the donkey. I don't believe the
Well, he's
donkey is
not speaking
consciously
through.
talking.
No, no. It is a miracle that he's allowing him to talk, but I don't think he's speaking through the donkey as
That's what it
himself.
says.
No, it just says he allowed him to talk and he let him talk. So then the donkey's asking him, well, why are you hitting me three times? God is not saying, why are you hitting God three times? It's just basically allowing
He's
the
talking to
donkey.
Balaam though, but he's talking to Balaam.
Yeah,
So
I
like,
think the
yeah, so
donkey's talking.
Balaam. Um,
No,
so
the
because
animal is
Yahweh,
speaking.
so what you think is it should say, and the donkey just started talking to Balaam without God's help.
No, I'm saying God opened his mouth to speak, but it is
Yeah.
still donkey in his own feelings and whatever's happening to him that he's able to communicate it that people can understand.
So
So,
if somebody, so for me, like if somebody says to me, "Oh, you believe donkeys can talk?" I would say, "No, I believe Yahweh can open the mouth of a donkey and speak through the
yeah,
donkey." That's
well,
what I would
God
say.
can do a miracle. Let's say that plant in the background there. God, if decided to make your plant talk, he can do that. And maybe your plant has something to say. I don't know.
I hope not.
Yeah, I mean, God can do anything. He can make rocks talk. He can
Yeah,
make rocks
yeah,
get water. It's not, it's the miracle, but the animal is still expressing what happened to him with his owner. Because in this conversation, as we go down, it does talk more like a donkey.
but look at this here. So Yahweh opened the mouth of the donkey, and then here Yahweh opened the eyes of Balaam. So Balaam
Yeah.
can only see the angel of Yahweh if Yahweh allows it.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking, sovereignty of God. So if anyone has problems with this donkey story and uses that an excuse to not believe the Bible, well, you probably can't get through the first page of the Bible either, because that's where God does all
Well,
kinds
because
of
God hasn't
amazing
opened
stuff.
their heart and their eyes to believe. I
Yeah.
think it's God who has to give you the spirit to even understand any of this. So once they
Anyways,
realize that it's God, then you're just seeking out the word, right? Then you're like, okay, yeah, he can make uh, water turn into wine. He can heal people. Like those
yeah,
are initial
yeah,
miracles, right? And then we get to more. Like all the miracles were happening all the way from Genesis forward. We just get different. And we know
yeah,
that Yahweh is also Jesus. So he was already performing miracles. Like these are all demonstration of
yeah. but this is a good example, like in our postmodern secular humanist materialist worldview of our culture today. This is very difficult for people to understand, and so they don't really read it carefully, and they just react against it. You know what I mean? But if
Yeah,
and like
because
for
their
me,
heart is already hardened
yeah, but
anyway.
for me, this is a key. This part right here, Yahweh opened the mouth of the donkey. That would be my point. I would say. Well,
Yep.
we maybe disagree a little bit about this. It's a kind of a subtle nuance, but I would say no. In my opinion, the donkey is just. It would be like if God started speaking through a statue. It would be the similar thing. I don't think the donkey is involved much at all in this conversation. I think it's God speaking through the donkey. That's
No,
my
I
opinion at
mean,
this
he is
moment in time.
speaking through him, but not like a statute. He's allowing the animal to talk. Because later, let's finish the rest because I'll show you because it's
No, no,
God
he's
doesn't
talking
need to
to
talk about,
Balaam. So
yeah,
yeah,
but the
he's
stuff
talking
that
to Balaam.
right, but the stuff that he's talking about, God doesn't need to say all that. That's
And
not,
it's kind of a prelude because later on, God speaks through Balaam, saying things that Balaam wouldn't normally say. You know what I mean? So anyway,
all right.
um, keep
Okay, so
going.
where's or what verse are we on?
Maybe just start here,
Okay.
29.
Then Balaam said to the donkey, because you have made a mockery of me, if there had been a sword in my hand, I would have killed you by now. And then the donkey said to Balaam, am I not your donkey which you have ridden all your life to this day? Have I ever accustomed to do so to you? And he said, no. And then Yahweh opened the eyes of Balaam, and he saw the angel of Yahweh standing in the way with his drawn sword in his hand, and he bowed his head down and prostrated himself to the
Mm.
ground. Um, so at that point, he had remorse. He realized it was
Yeah,
God.
yeah, he did. He kind of repented in a way, right?
Yeah.
Because
And
he
then
didn't know. He didn't know. Yeah.
right. And then the angel of Yahweh said to him, why have you struck your donkey these 3 times? Behold, I have come out as an adversary because your way
Yeah,
was contrary to me.
there it is again. I has come out as I believe, in my opinion, which it's good to have disagreement. It's a little more drama.
Yeah. The
I
ex
believe this is executioner. All right, now you motivated me. I'm going to try to get this guy who wrote a book about this on my show, and it's really interesting. But anyway, I would say executioner, not just an adversary like in the court of law, but pretty serious. He came with a sword to cause physical harm.
all
Um,
right. Well,
anyway,
let's
in
just
this
say it's
case, in a few other
execution.
cases in the Bible, there's other examples in the Bible.
Well,
Anyway,
I mean, he did come to execute judgment if he had to,
yeah, that's what
but
I'm
he
saying.
knew
Yeah,
he wasn't going to.
execution. In fact, yeah, executioner. What was the word I was using? Was it executioner? Yeah,
Yeah.
executioner or assassin. I kind of like that word too. Assassin.
That's it. Well, we can call it Angel Assassin. That'd be a great movie, actually.
Yeah, but he came as like it doesn't mean he's always just an executioner, you know what I mean? Or anything like that. It's just right now at this point I have come to bring a judgment upon you, that kind of thing.
Well, he came.
In,
I'm
in this
okay with the
situation,
assassin,
in this situation I've come to assassinate you.
like
But
a
he does
ninja
other things in that.
assassin.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Because your way was contrary to me. And we saw we've seen the angel of Yahweh show up and basically kill the Israelites because they were rebelling against him.
So
So
can
in a way,
I
Balaam is
assassinate him?
learning.
Anyone who's
What's that?
contrary to me, like go and assassin? No.
You want to hire the angel of
No.
Yahweh to assassinate
No.
people?
Well, it's God himself, so could I do that too? Pick up my sword and say I'm an
Oh,
adversary?
you want to be well? Actually, you know what? You ever see the latest Batman movie?
Which
It's called The Batman with that guy, the vampire guy. The
no.
Batman. It was actually pretty interesting. Because he says I am vengeance. You know, the Batman, like
Yeah.
the Satan. He says I am vengeance.
Huh.
So in a way, and even like the movie like Dexter, the TV show Dexter,
Yeah, I've
he's
seen that.
basically an angel of judgment. He's
Okay.
an angel. He's the Satan. He only kills bad guys. He has a
Yeah.
code. So
Right.
it's you see this a lot in movies where the what you
They're
think
always
is this
taking
bad
vengeance.
guy, they're killing bad guys just kind of like this, like an angel of
So
wrath,
it's
the
okay for
wrath of God.
God to do that, but not anybody else to take vengeance like that? Or
Yeah,
is it,
well, God
somehow
God
it doesn't
created the world.
matter.
God's the king. The king can kill anybody he wants.
So it's justice. So he's not really coming out as a assassin. He's really coming out as a justice,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. As God, really. Yeah,
Which
that's
only
a
he
good
can
point.
take.
Yeah, divine. It is justice. Yeah, it's like a death sentence. It's
Yeah.
capital punishment.
Right. Because none of us can do that. Right. We can't just
Only if we're told. Yeah, that's the problem. You get these people who say, "Oh, a voice of God came to me and told me to kill these people." Well, you got to be
yeah.
careful with that these days. But
All right. 33. And the donkey saw me and turned aside from me these three times. If it had not turned aside from me, I would surely have killed you just now and let
mm,
it live.
say. So the donkey. Wait. So the angel of Yahweh
Donkey
is still
sight. Yeah.
talking here, right?
Yeah.
The donkey saw me. Um, I was sure
So,
I would have killed you, Balaam. I would have killed. So he came to kill Balaam and let the
yes.
donkey live.
So I'm gonna give some donkey more points because one, it saw God. It reacted to him the whole time when it was doing this and doing that and went in the
Well, he
ditch.
turned aside. Yeah, an animal can see things that are there. You
Yeah,
know,
but
he's
it has conscious enough to not only know about God, but it also reacted. And I think all of those words were the donkey's words. Case closed.
okay. We might. Well, your case, yeah. I
No,
would.
because he's showing a lot of activity. It's not like he's a dummy, and dummies don't see God.
Well, the donkey turned aside. Yeah, if the donkey sees something in the way, they're going to turn aside. Every animal does that.
No, it's not just see
That's not a
something.
supernatural thing right there.
It saw me and turned aside from me three times. So,
Well, that's an interesting point. So you're saying that God supernaturally allowed the donkey to have his own conversation.
yes, because it wasn't a
Okay.
dummy, it was
I would
connected to
disagree with
God.
that.
No, I know. But
But that's no, this could be another PhD thesis.
okay, well, you can write about the donkey and make the
I'm
movie.
not if I had yeah, if I have time, you know, you could I mean this like all these every issue every episode we have, there's always like one or two topics that you could just look into
Oh,
a
oh, put
lot
a note
deeper.
in there. Put a note in there.
Yeah.
That I
It's on the
disagree with you.
radar.
It was Donkey Kong. All right. And Balaam said to the angel of Yahweh, I have sinned,
Oh,
and I did not know that you were standing in the way against me. So now, if it is evil in your sight, I will turn back.
well, look at this. He's repenting, you know,
Yeah.
kind of. I
But
mean, basically,
he did repent. He just didn't know,
yeah.
right? He was kind of being
So that's
ignorant.
the thing is though, like Balaam is always such a villain in through in the rest of the Bible. They look back and Balaam is just this really bad guy, but
Well, something must have
he doesn't
happened there.
seem so well. There was something that happened, yeah, actually,
All right.
which was we're going to see more of that next week. Actually, what happened? But all right.
But the angel of Yahweh said to Balaam, Go with the men, but you shall speak only with the word which I tell you. So Balaam went along with the leaders of Balak. So why was he mad at him if he was going to do that anyway? He told him to go and only speak what God told him. And so far, he was still going to do that. He wasn't disobeying. Was he worried that he was just going to go without like doing what he told him to do?
Your way was contrary to me. Well, I think like overall the main remember back at the beginning, the main thing, the first thing God said was I think this is the where's the first speech? I think it's right here. So the God said to Balaam, "Do not go with them. You shall not curse the people, for they are blessed." Like that's it. End of conversation. The story should have ended right there, really.
Yeah, but then he told him
So
go,
yeah, so that's the basic template right there. God said really everything he needs to say right there.
except
And
he
then
changed
you,
his mind.
yeah, do not go with them. So then Balaam should have just stopped. Everything should have stopped right there. So so this is like the like a commandment, right? It is a commandment basically.
Okay, but let's say you're Balaam in the story. You're like, okay, don't go. And then you finally come back and then you say, well, I'm going to listen to God and see what he has to say. And then he said, well, go with them, but do only what I tell you to do. And then the next line is, I'm angry with you because you're going.
He was angry with them because of this original statement.
Yeah,
But I
but what are
think
you going to
after
do?
that, see, he did not see because Balaam did not obey this initial commandment, and
He
these
did.
guys from Moab, no, he did go with them.
No, but
Uh,
only because God told him that night, go. So what was he supposed to do anything different at that point when, let's go back to the one,
well, I think like let's just say this is the original commandment. Don't
yeah,
go with them. And then the Moabites kept coming back. And then see he shouldn't have even um okay, so I could not do anything to go against the command. There's commandment right there
yeah.
of Yahweh my God. And then here's the problem. Here's the problem. I will know what else Yahweh will speak to me. He doesn't need to talk to Yahweh again. He already knows. See, this is the problem right here. God said, "Do not go." And then Balaam's like, "Well, maybe if I ask again nicely, he'll let me go."
All right,
So,
so he was double-minded. And then
yeah,
God
he's
said,
he's double
go.
minded. Yeah. Okay, if you want to go, I'll go and I'll have a donkey talk to you and I'll send. Okay, if you want to go, go, but I'm going to send my assassin after you.
Yeah, which is
And
himself.
and I'm going to speak through a donkey. I'm going to totally freak you out.
Yeah,
This is the issue right here. Here it is. See, it takes us a
he
while to
was
find these things.
double-minded.
See, it's already done, right?
Yeah.
It's like I
So he didn't
cannot
need
go
to ask
against the word of
again.
Yahweh. Yeah, that's the problem.
Okay. We got to that one. That's
You
good.
don't do that. If God tells you something, you're like,
Don't
let me
ask
think
again.
about that and let me ask again just to make sure. Maybe I can find a way to, you
Yeah.
know, to work on this a little bit.
I
We
think
can we
that
can we
deserves a
can
note.
reason. Yeah, we
We
can
should put a
reason.
note on there.
Uh, Here's a note. Yeah.
And I'm gonna grab a drink
Really?
briefly.
Okay. All right. Hold on. I'm going to add a note here. What should I say?
You say
Okay.
that he's
Well, you
double-minded,
could,
and that's the whole crux
this
of why
is,
God got mad.
yeah, why God was angry with Balaam. Yeah, because he asked again. He was trying to practice divination with God. Um, in fact, while she's away, let me see if I can find some of these Satan verses here. I have a list of 20 passages. I'll just do this to entertain the audience. Um, oh, right here. So here's the word Satan in Hebrew. Um, do not let him go to battle with us or in the battle. He may become an adversary in the battle. No, he's going to become an executioner. He might kill us. Okay. And then the same, oh, this is 2 Samuel. That you should this day become an adversary to me. Should any man be, see, again, this would be executioner because they're talking about putting people to death. All right. Um, go down the list here. Neither adversary. Okay, now this is a Sabbath reference. You see this a lot where the real meaning of the Sabbath is resting from establishing your kingdom and then you rest, like on day 7. Now Yahweh my God has given me rest on every side. There is neither adversary nor calamity. There's neither a threat. There are neither people coming to kill me or calamity. You could go kind of either way on that. All right. I'm just talking to myself. Then
Right.
Ha Satan. This should not be Satan. This should be Ha Satan, thus Satan, not a capital S, stood up against Israel and incited David to number Israel. That's a whole can of worms right there. All right,
Yeah,
let's
you're
go back.
opening a new can of worms.
There's so many cans of worms. Yeah.
Yeah, let's not do that. All right, I'm back. We can go back to donkey.
The talking donkey and Satan all in one story. I mean, you can't get better than that. This could be a whole
Yeah,
movie right here.
I know. It's a complicated movie. Have to get a
Balaam.
ninja,
Oh, by the way,
ninja angel.
before I forget, they have found archaeological evidence of uh, the words Baal, or no, sorry, the words Balaam, son of Beor, like written on a stone somewhere, like a little story about Balaam has
Yeah,
been found on a stone, and they estimate it was like 8th century BC or something. But so there's evidence of Balaam existing outside of the Bible on a
well, that's
stone
great.
written on a stone. So we know that Balaam was probably a real person, and now there's no donkey. They didn't find the donkey.
No, but I think you'll be in heaven with God because he obeyed God. He had
The,
fear of
all
God.
right, whatever.
You're not gonna.
We both have different opinions about
Yeah,
just
but
for
that
just
one's
for
the
the
easy
record.
one. I don't even know why we're arguing about that one. That one's super easy.
So the donkey's in heaven. All right.
Well, he could
Put
be.
that in your report.
All right. So where do we leave off?
Uh, um, I don't know. We're all over the place now.
I
See, look
know.
at this. Yahweh speaks through Balaam, right? Just like the donkey.
Yeah, but we gotta finish the donkey story. I think it was just about where it
Uh,
says I was gonna kill you if he wasn't gonna get out of the way. So the killing one,
yeah, I would surely have killed you just
the
now
34.
because
And
he's an assassin.
Balaam said to the angel of Yahweh, I have sinned, for I did not know that you were standing in the very way against me. So now, if it was evil in your sight, I will turn back. Oh, I read that part. And then the angel of Yahweh said to Balaam, Go with the men, but you shall speak only the word I tell you. So Balaam went along with the leaders of Balak. And then Balak heard that Balaam was coming and went out to meet him in the city of Moab, which is on the Arnon border at the end of the border. Should we see the map?
Well, it's the same place. It's
But where's
I can't see.
Arnon?
It's near the border. There's the Arnon River, it looks like. So it's
Okay.
around here. Yeah. In fact, this red line is supposedly the Balak escorts Balaam to curse Israel. So, you know, take it with a grain of salt, but it's basically around here, the border.
Okay.
Anyway,
Then
so
Balak said to Balaam, Did I not urgently send you to call you? Why did you not come with me? Am I indeed unable to honor you? So Balaam said to Balak, Behold, I have come now to you, and I'm able to speak anything at all. The word that God puts in my mouth, that I shall speak.
wait, slow down a little bit here.
So he
Okay, so
didn't
now,
go with him urgently as he was trying to.
Yeah, so now Balak is talking directly to Balaam, the king, to the diviner. Um, Why did you not come to me? See, Balak is kind of like the Pharaoh in a way, where Balak thinks he's the big shot and he's gonna, put a stop to the Israelites. And this is kind of, at the end of their 40-year uh, in the wilderness. So Balak thinks he's the king, you know, over Balaam, but Yahweh has really almost kind of claimed ownership of Balaam in a way. Balaam is kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, right? Between Yahweh and Balak. That's what's happening with Balaam, I think. He's got this king who wants to give him money to curse Israel, and then over here, Yahweh is not letting him do that. Balaam's kind
Yeah,
of like right
Balak
in the
is,
middle. He's caught in the middle of two kings,
yeah,
Balak and Yahweh.
which is a tough thing. Because
Yeah.
who are you going to listen to, the king or God? Wouldn't
The
that
state,
happen to big
the
leaders that have
state,
these connections?
the yeah, you're gonna obey God or you're gonna be obey the government, right?
Right.
Balak. But if you change the
So,
L to
like,
an R, you got Barack.
I think Trump has that battle right now. Is he going to listen to God or is he going to go along with the
Well,
kings
we
of the earth?
we know we know we know what's going to happen there. So Balaam said to wait. So Balaam said to Balak, "Behold, I have come now to you. Am I able to speak anything at all? The word that God puts in my mouth, that I shall speak." So now Balak is probably getting upset, like, oh, so God is more powerful than Balak. Balak is really the villain here in many ways, right? Balak is going directly against the will of God.
Okay.
And
And then Balaam
yeah,
went with Balak and they came to Kiriatho. I don't know. What is that word?
Huzot,
Kiriath Uzoth?
Kiryat Huzot.
Uzoth. And then Balak sacrificed oxen and sheep and sent some to Balaam and the leaders who were with him. And then it happened in the morning that Balak took Balaam and brought him up to the high places of Baal. See, that's what I was talking
Uh-oh.
about. And he saw that there was an end of the camp of the people. So I was right. They were talking. So the Baal in that area was a huge thing.
Yeah, it
That's what
was.
they
Yeah.
were worshiping. So the
Yes, they had
Balak,
many, they were polytheists, so they had many gods. But yeah, Baal is kind of always there in the background as the one of the
in
main
that region,
deities.
and I think their
Yeah.
names have some connection to Baal.
Probably does because they all start with BA, right?
Right.
Baal, Balaam, and Balak
Yeah.
and Barak.
Well, I think because they were in that region and that was because they're going to the high places of Baal. And like I've seen some of your videos where you go into all these temples, right? And the high
One,
places.
I did one video. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I saw
There's
that.
a high place. I went to the high place. They
Right.
exist. You know about these, right? They're all over
Yeah,
the place. Any temple you could say is a high place, but that one actually was up on a mountain. And this
right,
he's on a mountain right now too. Yeah.
right. So that was important worship to them. To take Balaam up there in the high place, they went there to worship Baal, to inquire about Baal, even though Balaam just spoke to Yahweh.
And they sacrificed, right? They
Yeah.
sacrificed a bunch of animals,
Hmm.
um, and sent some of these things to Balaam. So this is more kind of, a cult kind of, they're trying
And
to
you know what's more important
invoke
about
the
Balaam now?
invoke the demon. What about that? What?
Well, because in that region, he already was accustomed to Baal worship and all of that other stuff. It's Balak who is following Baal, but Balaam, despite all of the stuff that in his territory, he said Yahweh was his God. He bowed down to Yahweh. He
Well, yeah,
listening to Yahweh.
he said it. He said that. Did he mean it or not? That's an issue.
He meant it. He was scared of him. I
Maybe
don't.
in that moment, maybe he said that to all the gods though.
Mm, no.
Right? He's trying to divine. He's trying to please. It's like he's trying to manipulate all these. He's a polytheist. So
We
he'll
don't know
talk to
he's a
Baal
polytheist.
sometimes, and then he'll talk to this other god, and he'll be nice to all the different gods. So
Yeah,
that's
but
one thing with
it,
Balaam. He might be a bit of a con artist. We can't really trust that he meant it. He's trying to win the favor of Yahweh. So of course he's going to say that. He probably didn't mean it. That's my opinion.
well, let's go back
Um,
to the verse where it says,
no, no, no,
Yahweh is my God. I don't think he was going to
no.
make that up.
He was talking to someone else though as well. So we got, you have to, there's what it says, but then also keep in mind if they're talking to other people,
But
there's
there
a
was nobody
rhetorical.
around with his actions with the donkey. That was just him in the wilderness. And he was afraid.
Yahweh, my God. Well, you're changing the topic here. All right.
Yeah.
Balaam talked to these guys here, the servants of Balak. Though Balak were to give me this house full of silver and gold, I could not do anything, either small or great, to trespass the command of Yahweh, my God. So he's talking to these guys. He's not talking to Yahweh directly. You know
Yeah,
what
but
I'm
he's
saying?
telling them that Yahweh is his God, turning down gold and
No.
silver.
Why? There's a retort. You got to think of he's saying this to these guys because he's telling them he can't help them. So he's kind of adding this in there to
Mm,
explain why he can't do it. That's
yeah, because
you
he's
think
honoring his
carefully.
God.
No,
How can
I
you
don't.
not,
I
how
wouldn't go
can you
that
answer
far.
anybody who's saying, I can't take your silver and gold. I can't do anything because my God told me not to do it. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, I'm saying he doesn't
But
mean it. He's kind of lying a little. People lie in the Bible when they're talking to someone else. There are conversations where people are not being honest
yeah,
with
but
each
you
other.
don't need to lie when you're turning down money, and it's a lot of money.
It's an excuse,
To do what? He's turning down money.
but he knows he can't do it though. He knows that Yahweh won't do what he wants him to do anyway.
Yeah, but
So
why would
he's
he honor God to do that if didn't really believe in him?
well, okay.
All right,
We'll
so
get back to that one, but we can't
we're not going to solve that one
spend too
today.
time. Well, I don't know what we're even talking about anymore. We're
Well,
talking about Baal.
I think that
Baal.
Balaam, despite the territory that he was living in, despite the worship of Baal, Yahweh was his God. I think he meant it.
No,
And he was following
I
Yahweh.
don't. No, I don't think so. I think he was a polytheist, and for him, Yahweh was just one of many deities. And but there
All
is
right,
an
well, let's find
interesting
out.
thing, though. But you kind of brought up a good point about Baal, where it's really almost a battle between Baal and Yahweh now at this point,
Yeah.
right? Because these guys, this guy here, where's Balak? Balak is the king who serves Baal, but he also has other deities like Chemosh. We saw that last week or 2 weeks
Well,
ago.
we know
But
all other deities are demonic in the
yeah,
New Testament.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but all of them, they do have power to do something.
And I
Uh,
realize, speaking of this high place where I did my video, it's really as simple as this, I think. Like human beings are created in the image of God. And then all these idols, these statues of demons they are the image of a demon,
yeah,
right?
they're always by either animals or
So
distorted
so
or
so so
really weird.
when people worship other gods, they're basically giving over their sovereignty to a demon. Because we're created in the image of God to have dominion over the earth.
Yeah,
But now the images of the demons
it's
have
image
taken
of the
over.
beast. It's actually image of the
Image
beast.
of the beast. Yeah.
Yeah,
People are
because
worshiping the image of the beast, the
right,
idols.
and because our God is reflected in us as His image, and then once
Hmm.
that gets distorted or changed or manipulated or whatever, you know, however you want to do it, that gets transformed into the image of the beast then. So you're taking away from the image of God into the image of beast. And I think that
Yeah.
all plays into the image of the beast in the very end. What's going to
Yeah. Yeah. And then, yeah. Well, the beast wants to set up his images to
happen.
conquer the world, to have dominion over the world. And then eventually, and probably happening already, he wants human images. Like we're a human image of God somehow,
Yeah.
Um, and then there's Satan wants his
Image of,
images,
yeah.
not just a statue, but a living
Yeah.
human body.
It's changing our, so,
Transhumanism. That's
yeah,
transhumanism.
that whole idea of changing our genetic makeup into something else. Even the hybrids, they never really look like us. They were super something, like giants. But I think they transformed not only people but animals at that time too. And you see remnants of
Maybe.
big stuff.
Well, yeah.
Well, I could,
But yeah, definitely. So the transhumanist thing is probably Satan's creating images of the beast
yep,
to, to oppose us who are humans
to
who are created
reflect
in the image of God.
himself because God
Yeah.
referred to him as a beast. All right, so Yahweh speaks through Balaam. Then Balaam said to Balak, build 7 altars for me here and prepare 7 bulls and 7 rams for
Hmm.
me here. So Balak did just as Balaam had spoken, and Balak and Balaam offered up a bull and a ram to on each altar. Then Balaam said to Balak, stand us beside your burnt offering, and I will go. Perhaps Yahweh will come and meet me. And whatever
Hmm.
he shows me, I will tell you. So he went to Bear Hill, to a Bear
A
Hill.
Bear Hill. Now this is see, he's doing it again, right? Like Balaam should have just stopped at this point,
Yeah.
right? But he keeps trying. He's still trying to please Balak, and they're still now they're doing some more magic and witchcraft kind of stuff, right?
Mhm.
Um, and they're on. I think they're still on top of that hill and
Well, he was
sacrificing
trying to give him a
animals.
burnt offering.
And he's doing this for. It sounds like he's doing this for Yahweh now, right? So I will go. Perhaps Yahweh will come to meet me. See, it's like he's still trying to convince Yahweh to do something that he doesn't want to do, you know. So like he already has the word of God. God told him, but he
But
keeps
I think he
trying.
was
He
still
should have
waiting
stopped.
to, he was waiting for God to say what his instructions were. Remember, because God said, you should only do what I tell you to do. So I think part of it is he's just
Oh,
waiting
that's
to
true.
see
That's
what,
true. He's waiting for the next word.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so now God met Balaam and he said to him, I have set up 7 altars and I offered up a bull and a ram on each altar. Then Yahweh put a word in Balaam's mouth and said, return to Balak and you shall speak thus. So he returned to him, and behold, he was standing beside his burnt offering, and he and all the leaders of Moab. And then he took up his discourse and said, from Aram Balak has brought me, Moab's king from the mountains of the east. Come curse Jacob for me, and come denounce Israel. How shall I curse whom God has not cursed? How am I,
Hmm.
how can I denounce whom Yahweh has not denounced? For I see him at the top of the rocks, and I look at him from the hills. Behold, the people who dwells alone, and he will not reckon among the nations, and will not be reckoned among the nations. Who can number the dust of Jacob and recount a fourth part of Israel? That's a lot. Dust of Jacob. That's billions and gazillions. And let me die the death of the upright, and that my end be like his. Then Balak
So
said,
this is wait. So this is the word of so this is the word of Yahweh put a word in Balaam's mouth. So now Balaam is kind of acting like a prophet,
yeah.
you know, or
And he's,
Yahweh's using him as like a prophet to talk to Balak and these guys.
and one of their
Um,
prophecies, who can number the dust of Jacob, which is in line with all the numerous as the stars, the dust in the ground, the sand in the sea. Like there's going to be a ton of them. You should
well,
highlight
yeah,
that.
eventually, yeah, but not yet. Do you think there's a billion of them in right here?
No,
There's
a couple
six
million.
million in Israel today, one
No,
million
but
in
that's a
Jerusalem.
prophecy, the dust of Jacob.
Yeah. That's the promises given to Abraham.
Yeah. Or count
Same
the
thing.
fourth part of Israel. Fourth part of Israel.
I don't know what that means. This could be an idiom or something.
Well,
Uh,
should be highlighted.
anyway, so the it should really. If I already have enough things to look into, you know, but
Put it in
so
blue.
anyway, this, Balaam is you know, now like it said here in the heading, Yahweh speaks through Balaam, right? So I think that's accurate heading. Um, okay, they finished this last two
Then
verses.
Balak said to Balaam, what have you done to me? I took you to curse my enemies, and behold, you have blessed them repeatedly. And he said, well, must I not be careful to speak what Yahweh puts in my mouth?
Yeah. So yeah, so I think there's about three of these kind of I think Yahweh does this about three times. So this is the first one.
Hmm.
I think it's the first one. And all right. So
Balaam's
ba-
discourse.
yep.
Balak said to him, please come. with me to another place where you may see them, but you will only see at the end of them and will not see all of them, and to curse them for me from there. So he took them to the field of Zophim, Zophim, to the top of Issagar, and built 7 altars and offered a bull and ram to each altar. Should we say on the map where Zophim is?
It might not be there. I don't know. Is it there? It's around anyway. It's all around here somewhere. It's not that detailed.
All right.
They don't know, they really don't know all these places actually anyway. So
Okay. And he said
Pisgah,
to,
Pisgah, I think Pisgah was there right there, right? So
yeah,
there it is. Maybe, probably.
yeah, that's where
Yeah.
they're at.
All right.
Um, and he said to Balak, stand here beside your burnt offering while I myself meet Yahweh over there. And then Yahweh met Balaam and put word in his mouth and said, return to Balak, and thus you shall speak. So he came to him, and behold, he was standing beside his burnt offering, and the leaders of Moab with him. And Balak said to him, what has Yahweh spoken? And then he took up his discord and said, arise, Balak, and hear, give ear to me, O son of Zippor. God is not a man that he should lie, nor a son of man that he should repent. He has said that he will not do. Has he said, and will he not do it? Or has he spoken, and will he not establish it? Behold, I have received a command to bless, and when he has blessed, then, and I cannot revoke it. He has not observed misfortune in Jacob, nor has he seen trouble in Israel. Yahweh his God is with him, and that shout of a king is among them. God brings them out of Egypt. He's for them like the horns of a wild ox. For there is no omen against Jacob, nor is there any divination against Israel, as at the proper time it shall be said to Jacob and to Israel what God has done. Behold, people rises like a lioness, and the lion it lifts itself. It will not lie down until it devours the prey and drinks the blood of the slain. And Balak said to Balaam, do not curse them at all, nor bless them at all.
Okay. Well, let's stop there. So this is a pretty major prophecy as well. It seems to be related to the promise given to Abraham and yeah, Israel. And if you think about it, I mean, Israel, there's a lot of disobedient, like the entire first generation was basically rebellious and they died in the wilderness, and only two of them will enter, which hasn't happened yet, but at this point in the story, only two of them will enter the promised land. But then there's the whole second generation, like this whole idea of Israel is blessed. It doesn't mean every single individual person in
Well,
it
God's hand
is
is
blessed.
over them because he says don't bless or curse them. So he couldn't do either.
Well, that's what Balak said. Yeah. So Balak is getting a little nervous, it sounds like.
Right,
Um, because this is a very long prophecy as well, and kind of forceful, a little bit more clear. Basically you cannot curse Israel.
right,
You know, it's impossible to curse Israel. It's you cannot stop God's plan to restore humanity, you know, back to its original purpose. Because and this isn't just about these ethnic Israelites, by the way. That's a kind of a different story. But Israel, as Paul says in Galatians, Israel is whoever has faith in the seed of Abraham. It's basically
well,
anyone in Jesus. Anyone who has faith in Jesus is an Israelite.
that's today, but in that time frame, it
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
group
At
of
that
people.
time, it was those 12 tribes,
Yeah,
and yeah, and there was foreigners kind of grafted into them as well at that point.
yeah.
All
Uh,
right, so do not curse them or bless them at all. It was kind of an interesting reply. He is kind of like backing down a little bit, it seems like.
Right.
Let's see
But
what
Balaam
see what
replied
else is.
to Balak, did I not tell you, saying, whatever Yahweh speaks, that I must do? And Balak said to Balaam, please come, I will take you to another place. Perhaps it will be right in the eyes of God that you curse them for me. So he's trying to keep taking them to different sites, showing them like, okay, maybe this time you can curse them.
Let's try again. If we go to
Yeah.
a different place, it might work out a little bit better.
Yeah, that's the third time. So Balak took Balaam to the top of Peor, which overlooks the wasteland. Can we go check out Peor on the map?
Peor, the wasteland. Here it is. Oh yeah, this mountain is a little better. This
Yeah.
mountain didn't work, didn't quite work. Okay, let's try again. Let's go to this other mountain and sacrifice some other animals. And that's kind of how it is though, right?
But
In the
you
pagan world,
realize,
you're always trying to manipulate things a little bit better to
but
get
you
your way.
realize that each of one of those mountains, they are overlooking all the people of
Yeah,
Jacob's
yeah,
tribes.
definitely. Yeah, they're all
So
right
when you're
here.
at that mountain and you can see them, doesn't that show there
Yeah.
were a ton of them? You're not going to see
No.
them if there were little
This
50,000
area
people.
can only hold this area can only hold so many people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you're
Anyway.
never going to see 50,000 people from those mountains. You got to see a lot.
Yeah, you could. There's that you could see these towns and there's
No,
I didn't 50, 20,
3 billion maybe. All right.
20, 20,000, 30,000. All right.
Two.
So they go to the mountain.
Yeah. So Balak took Balaam to the top of Peor, which overlooks the wasteland. And Balaam said to Balak, build 7 altars for me here and prepare 7 bulls and 7 rams for me here. And Balak did just as Balaam had said before and offered up a bull and a ram on each altar. So they're each time he's taken them to all of these top of the mountains for them to set up altars to invoke God to come and talk to Balaam.
Yeah. Balak doesn't give up.
No, because he
And
wants him
and
gone, right?
and Balaam is not really able to Balaam at this point he could have just said a curse or something and took the money and walked away.
But that's why I'm saying Yahweh is his God, and I think he was telling the truth.
Well, it's his God whether he wants it to be or not.
No, you can't. The Pharaoh is a great example of when your heart is not with God, you're going to try every which way. He wasn't doing that. He was
But
following
God
God's.
did that. God hardened Pharaoh's heart.
Yes, because it was already hardened. That's
Maybe.
the theme of that
No,
story.
I actually no, it's not. It's the sovereignty of God is the theme of the story,
Well, that
and
is everywhere, but
God
he
used
doesn't.
Pharaoh was a pawn in the game.
Yes, but he also has free will.
I
And
don't know.
God
Well,
would
that's
only do
really
what he did because his heart was already hard.
there's based on presuppositions.
All right, let's continue. Spirit of God comes upon Balaam, and Balaam saw that it was good in the eyes of Yahweh to bless Israel. So he did not go as the other times to encounter omens, but he sat in the face toward the wilderness. And Balaam lifted up his eyes and saw Israel dwelling tribe by tribe, and the Spirit of God came upon him.
Hmm. Oh wait. So now the Spirit of God. This is different. This is not just the Word of God or anything. This
Yeah,
is like the
Holy
Spirit
Spirit.
of God, the Holy Spirit has come upon Balaam. This is pretty radical.
Yeah,
This is a big deal. Because even so far, remember, so like remember Joshua, it says a few times in the Bible, Joshua the Holy Spirit came upon Joshua.
yeah,
And he's like one of the two guys who entered the promised land. So it's almost in Joshua's name is the same as Jesus. Exactly, right?
yeah.
So Joshua's kind of a typology of Jesus. And Joshua's basically about to become the leader of these Israelites. Moses is just about to die. Um, and so it kind of shows you like Moses, the law of Moses, they didn't get into the promised land by following Moses. They got into the promised land by following Jesus, whose name is Joshua back then. Or
And
Joshua is not Jesus, but he's kind of a typology of Jesus.
yeah, but even in this story, Yahweh is Jesus, and now he's becoming the Spirit of God, which is the Holy Spirit. So we are seeing the works of the Trinity all along.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
then
The Spirit of God came upon Balaam. So this is kind of an escalation of things. Something crazy is about to happen.
yes. And then he took up the discord and said, the oracle of Balaam, the son of Beor, and the oracle of man whose eye is uncovered.
Whoa.
I think should highlight that one. Whose eye
Eye is
is
uncovered. That's
uncovered.
pretty radical. He can see clearly now. And he's looking over Israel as well, right? Physically, he can see them now.
Well,
He can
you
see
do
them like
know the symbolism that the esoteric people use today, one
the
eye,
eye. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which is
You see it
all,
a lot.
yes, but in biblical
What does that
meaning,
mean?
it means that you can see through the eyes of God, the eyes
Mm,
uncovered.
your eyes have been opened.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, uh, to speak
Oh.
for the Spirit of God. But the Satan has used it in some other weird way with the one eye symbolism. Um, okay, so the
Mhm.
oracle of him who hears the words of God, who beholds the vision of Almighty falling down, yet having his eyes opened. There's that thing again.
See, his eyes were not opened before. He couldn't even see the angel of Yahweh before, but
Right.
now his eyes are opened.
But what does it mean, like oracle of Balaam, though?
Well,
The
it's like a
oracle of him.
prophecy. But this is a actually okay. Spoiler alert. This is actually, I believe, this one here. There might be a different one later. I don't know, but one of these is in a messianic prophecy about Jesus, actually.
Yeah.
So it might be this one here. But this is I think this word is used with the prophets as well, possibly. Might want to confirm that, but it's just the oracle. It's a prophecy, something like that.
All right. How fair are your tents, O Jacob, your dwellings, O Israel, like valleys that stretch out, like gardens beside the river, like aloes planted by Yahweh. What is this word here?
Aloe is like a plant, aloe vera.
Oh, like aloes planted by Yahweh, like cedars beside the waters.
No, wait. This is like Garden of Eden type terminology, right? Which is the
Yeah,
temple. Garden of Eden was the temple.
right.
Anyway, go ahead.
Water will flow from his buckets, and his seed will be by many waters, and his king shall be lifted up higher than Agag, and his kingdom shall be exalted.
Oh, there's the kingdom of God.
Yeah.
Thy kingdom come, thy
Mm.
will be done.
Is heaven in it?
All right.
God brings him out of Egypt, for he's is for him like the horns of the wild ox. He will devour the nations who are his
Uh-oh.
adversaries.
I'm not sure if that's the word Satan or not. I don't think so. I don't think so. But anyway,
Not here.
I don't think it is. I'd have to look at the Hebrew. But anyway,
Well, I think in the plain meaning, it just means anyone who's against Israel, uh,
yeah, I don't, that
God's going to
it could be.
judge,
I'll have to
right?
check. Yeah.
And he will gnaw their bones in pieces and shatter them with his arrows. He crouches, he lies down as a lion, and as a lion he dares rouse him. Blesses everyone who blesses you, and curses everyone who curses you. And then Balak's anger burned against Balaam, and he struck his hands together. And Balak said to Balaam, I called you to curse my enemies, but behold, you have blessed them repeatedly these 3 times.
Yeah.
So now flee to your place. I said I would honor you greatly, but behold, Yahweh has held you back from honor. And then Balaam said to Balak, did I not tell you your messengers whom you sent to me, saying, though Balak were to give me his house full of silver and gold, and I could not do anything to trespass command of Yahweh, either good or bad, of my own accord, what Yahweh speaks, that I will speak. So behold, so now behold, I am going to my people, come and I will advise you what this people will do to your people in the last days.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Before we get there, he's basically going to give us an end times prophecy here, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah, I realized here this. honor. I said I would honor you greatly. That's with money, right?
Yeah, he said
But
a whole
behold,
house full of.
Yahweh has held you back from honor. So that kind of means he's not getting paid.
Well, look what the other one in 13, it says house full of silver and gold. So,
Yeah. Were you to give me? So that means he didn't. See, people always accuse Balaam of taking money and stuff. Well, which he did normally. That was his job, right? But he's not taking money right now so far. I don't think he's
well,
taking
he's
any money.
also, this is a temptation. This is just like the Satan's temptation to Christ, where he was going to offer him the whole world. And God said no. So, this is what I'm saying. This has to take great restraint to turn down honor and ton of money, a lot of money, not just a teensy weensy, a lot of money, for him to say, no, I'm going to do follow the
Yeah.
Yahweh. So he is a true believer at this point.
Yeah. So anyway, so this okay, so here's the one I was thinking of. This oracle, the I think this might be the last one, the last oracle of Balaam. I
Hmm.
will advise you what this people, what the is what Israel will do to Moab in the last days.
Last
But
day.
also I think Moab also can represent all the pagan nations because
Yeah,
it
it
uses
will
the word
be
nations.
because,
Nations, right? He would devour the nations who are his adversaries, his
yeah,
enemies. So
and that goes to the end time prophecy too, where
yeah.
all the nations will come against Israel in the end, right? Which God then takes a swift judgment. They all come against him in the valley or whatever, right? Uh,
Hmm.
and that's when it's just swift. God just gets rid of them
Yep.
all. But um, I do have questions whether that Israel today means the same Israel that God's talking about here, because
Yeah.
nobody can curse them or they're blessed.
Uh,
Anyone who blesses them will be blessed. Anyone who curses them will be cursed. So is it talking about, because all the Christian, many of them will say, well, we can't curse or do anything bad against Israel today because they're God's people and it's
oh,
God's.
you mean the Jews,
Well, Israel as a nation, whoever's there. So are they
the
the
country in
same?
the country the country in the Middle East now, you
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
I know a lot of Christian. I'm always a lot of Christians think that country in the Middle East today is the same people they're talking about in the Bible, but they're not. They're not in covenant with God.
Right.
They're
So,
just they're just the nations now. Okay, so if you go to Romans 11, now again, this is another guy I want to get on my show. Romans 11, um, 25. Romans 11:25. Mystery. Oh, look at the word mystery. That partial hardening has happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles has come in. Because a lot of these the Israelites basically killed their own Messiah, right? They didn't realize their Messiah would be killed on a
well, God
cross.
scattered them, right? He
They
scattered
thought
them to
yeah,
all nations.
yeah. Well, that kind of happened before that. Well, okay, so that's what I'm going to talk about is who is all Israel, and so all Israel will be saved. So we can't spend too much time on this, but let me just present an
But you got a
idea.
ton of notes there.
Yeah, I got to organize them better. It interrupts the thing, but and I'm of course not even going to read them.
Yeah, well, I
But
think spiritually it means all believers today.
yeah,
But if
yeah.
there's a
There's
parallel story of genetic Israelites, if there's a parallel,
no, 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 no,
what that
no,
story could still continue though. There could still be those tribes
no, no,
out
no, no,
there
no, 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 no,
everywhere.
no, 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 no. For they are not all Israel who are descended from Israel.
Yeah,
The, ch the children of the flesh are not the children of God,
yeah,
but the children of the promise are considered as seed.
yeah.
The promise, and that's then Galatians. Well, I don't want to go there right now, but let's. Okay, so that just ruins that theory you just said, doesn't it? Pretty clearly.
Hmm?
because they are Abraham's seed. Okay, yeah, the children of the promise given to Abraham back in Genesis 12 and Genesis 15.
Huh?
Um, and the promise given to Abraham was that you will be a father of many of the goyim, basically, which is the anyway. So
So then,
no, where was
if you're following a spiritual Israel, then all the nations are going to come against the spiritual Israel in the end days, which is
well, that's a different topic. Who first of all, who is Israel? Let me just say this real quick. So there was like the 8th century BC, the northern 10 tribes kind of vanished. You know about that? So there
yeah,
was a
but they didn't
divided
really
kingdom. They
vanish.
vanished into the no, they vanished, and they became Gentiles basically. So Paul uses very specific language to talk about the Jews and to talk about Israel. And here he's talking about all Israel, but sometimes he's talking about the northern 10 tribes, which vanished. Basically, what happened, to summarize it all, in my view, we can't defend it. We don't have time to do that right now, but the northern 10 tribes became Gentiles, and Gentiles became the northern 10 tribes.
I think that's getting into stuff that we haven't even talked about yet.
I know it is. But that's
Yeah.
my answer to my question is who is Israel? And
Well, I
then
think we're going to have to figure that out. I think there's
that's
parallel stories of the tribes that are still going to be somewhere in the world, and then us as spiritual
there.
grafted
No, no,
in
no, no.
as a
Those who
spiritual.
are of faith, those are the sons of Abraham.
Yes.
Right here, right. Okay, last verse of
But I'm not
chapter 3.
saying genetically if they don't believe that
Yeah,
they're
that
part.
genetics has nothing to do with anything. And if you belong to Christ, then you are Abraham's seed, heirs according to promise.
Yes, I agree with that.
That's it. There's no distinction between Jew and Gentile. If
I know that.
it's a new, so anyway, forget about the Jews, Israel. They're just, if
Well,
they
no,
belong to
no,
Christ, that's
I'm
great. Then
saying
they're part of
something
Abraham's seed.
else. I'm
They have
saying
nothing.
something.
Israel has nothing to do with anything. The
Well,
state,
not
this
the
country,
current
nothing.
state of Israel. I'm not talking about
They're
them.
nothing.
I know, but they will use
But
that to say,
most Christians think they are the
right. And
promised
what do they
land.
do? They invest a lot of money. They get money from Israel to propagate all that idea that if you bless them, they'll be blessed, and if you curse them, they will be cursed.
Yeah,
So
it goes
that
deep.
all of that
You
came
can't
from that
question it
story.
either. If
Oh,
you
I
just even
know.
question it, people just freak out. They freak out.
Yes. So that's why it's important to know from that story in Numbers what was going on because they misused that, the curses and the blessings.
Ah, do they actually kind of quote this passage, you
Yes,
think?
all the time, every day, nonstop.
Really?
Yes. This is the most
Ah,
important part of what's happening today is coming from this story.
really?
Yes. And why
So
we're in such a
we have
mess
to
in the first place.
they're not even Israel though. We have to so they
But
should have called
that's
that country Judah or something anyway. But so so what the modern day American and this is really a American evangelical kind of thing.
yes, but they're
American
being
Christianity, it's almost
manipulated.
like its own religion. It's like a
It
different
is. It's a
religion.
different religion.
Halfway, half of it at least. But
Well, that's my point. This what we're reading is about God and what the story is in the past, present, and future. What's happening in the real world is a different religion
it's
that is
talking about
using
it's talking
using
about those who are in Christ. Then you are Abraham's seed. He's talking about Abraham's seed, those in the basically the new
right, and then
covenant,
it
heirs according to promise.
which
These
means
people cannot be
blessing
cursed.
us will be a blessing, cursing us will be a cursing,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Anyone in Christ, that's the real Israel right there. And there's another, yeah, anyway.
But isn't that
Um,
prophecy then belongs to us?
yes, yes.
So then,
Anyone who belongs to Christ, that's who that prophecy
yeah,
belongs
so
to.
if anybody curses you, they're going to be cursed. If anybody blesses
Excellent.
you, they will be blessed, right?
The
So there is
assassin,
a little bit of that added
God's,
supernatural to each
yeah,
believer.
they'll be destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so forget about anyway, the where are we? Did we read this oracle yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, so let's find out what's going to happen in the last days. So this is an end times prophecy right here in the book of Numbers, given through this pagan diviner. It's pretty interesting.
Well, he's not
So
pagan, he's a believer.
no, well, we
He
disagree on that.
is. He
I don't
follows
think so.
Yahweh. That's his
He's
God.
not a
Let's not
mono.
call him a
He's not
pagan.
a monotheist. I don't. He's
Well,
not a
whatever. Right
monotheist.
now, he's a Yahweh theist.
You want
So,
me to? Can I?
yes,
You
you
want
can
me to?
read.
Can I read this? I'll try.
Yeah.
This is the last part. I'll use the last remaining strength I have to read the end times prophecy before I
Okay.
perish. Then he took up his discourse and said, "The oracle of Balaam, the son of Beor, and the oracle of the man whose eye is uncovered." So this again, the same thing.
Yeah, where
So
you
he,
can
it
see.
almost seems like he has changed at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. The oracle of him who hears the words of God and knows the knowledge of the Most High. That's probably El Elyon or something. That's another way to talk about God that's used a lot in the Bible. Who beholds the vision of the Almighty, again, another falling down yet having his eyes opened. Well, this is, wow,
Mhm.
interesting, very interesting.
So
His
that
eyes,
gives me,
he's had it, the spirit of God. He's
yeah,
had a spiritual awakening,
yeah, he
something like
did.
that. I see him, but not now. So this it begins here, okay? And
Yeah.
this might be a little bit cryptic, a little bit difficult for us to understand because it's prophecy. It's always kind of weird and symbolic and stuff. But I see him, but not now. I behold him, but not near. So who is him? This could be talking about them. This is the messianic prophecy, by the way. A star shall come forth from Jacob, a scepter shall rise from Israel. That's the messianic part right there. There may be
Hmm.
others as well.
Yeah.
Right? A star, this the promised seed of Abraham
Hmm.
from Israel. This is Israel, right?
Yeah.
A scepter shall rise from Israel. This is the king, basically, a king,
Hmm.
and shall crush through the forehead of Moab. That kind of reminds me of crushing the head of the serpent in
Hmm.
Genesis 3:15. Shall crush through the forehead of Moab, the enemies of Israel, and tear down all the sons of Sheth. Now, who are these guys? I think there's a bit of a confusion over who these people really are, but this is probably just other enemies of.
So Ruth is a Moabite, where Jesus
Oh,
came from. Half of his lineage came from a Moabite woman for the great great
Ruth is
great.
from here.
Yes.
Yeah, and King David is a descendant, right? Of Ruth, is that right?
Yes. Right. So
Okay.
Obed is the son that they gave birth to from Boaz and Ruth. And Obed
Yeah,
is the lineage that eventually leads to Jesse and Jesse to David and David to Jesus.
interesting.
And that story, remember we were talking about lineage versus spiritual? She came into the promise through faith. So that was the first inkling where it was shown by faith. You grafted in and
Okay.
not by lineage. All right.
Well, it's
So
deep. All right. And
where's
Edom shall be Edom's now it's I think it's we saw it in a previous this is from by the way for copyright purposes Bible Atlas and Companion. There's the donkey right there. Look at that. There it
pretty
is.
smart.
Yeah, you
And
want to
that's the
talk to him?
walls. You see the walls?
Yeah.
I was talking
There's
about left or right and that path.
yeah,
So
that's
I'm
right.
guessing it'll
There's
probably look,
Edom.
yeah.
There's
So it's
Edom. Edom
slow
is there.
mo.
The Edomites and uh
And what would that have been today,
Jacob's
though?
brother.
Like
What? Edom?
people today, what are they called? I
Probably
mean, what's the
Jordan.
nation that's there?
Isn't it Jordan or Saudi Arabia? This is Saudi Arabia. We'd have to look on a map.
Yeah, I
Um,
think Jordan
well,
is.
they just changed it. I think Syria just ended or something. You know, anytime something happens in the Middle East, the dispensationals they start freaking out. They're like, "Oh, it's the end times."
I know. That's
And a
why I
lot of
don't think
the,
they're going to be able to see it because I don't think their eyes are really opened.
I don't know if we can say this on this platform, but you know how a lot of times they'll show all these missiles in the
Yeah,
what's that thing, the Iron Dome and all that?
yeah, yeah,
They're
yeah.
just fireworks. The whole
I
thing's a
know.
total psyop.
Yeah.
They're not shooting missiles.
Well, what are they shooting then?
Fireworks. It's a show. It's everything. If it's
Yeah.
in the
Well,
news, it's anyway,
they're
can't
trying to
question the
put that
narrative.
dome in what's that country they're warring against? What's his name?
Iran,
Ukraine. Ukraine. They wanted to put that
Ukraine.
Iron
Oh,
Dome in the Ukraine.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, what are we talking about? Okay, Edom, the Edomites, and the kind of the enemies of Israel
Yeah.
shall be a possession. Okay.
Here.
Seir, its enemies also will be a possession, while Israel performs valiantly. And one from Jacob shall have dominion. Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
There's dominion again, right? Which is
Right.
Adam. Adam was supposed to have dominion. So through Israel, the promised seed will regain, humanity will regain their dominion of earth over, and these are the Edom and all these nations are ruled by demons.
Yeah.
And the demons established dominion
Yeah.
temporarily.
Well, all they worship Baal and other people.
Yeah, yeah.
Demons. All
We're all
right.
kind of like pawns in the game, really, right?
Yeah. Game of Thrones.
Baal has his pawns, his images, and
Yeah.
God has his, we're kind of pawns of
And
God to
there
a certain
is
degree.
supernatural stuff in those demonic beings that's why people worship them. It's
Yeah, oh,
just
yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
lesser
There's
god
yeah,
powers
yeah,
that they want.
yeah, yeah. They're just a statue, but there's a demonic
Yeah,
power
which
behind it.
gives them prosperity and the dream that they want.
And people bow down to the demons, so the demons have authority and dominion over humanity when that happens.
Yeah.
So anyway, dominion is probably kind of a technical term, like very important term regarding kingdom and all that kind of stuff.
Authority, right? It's pretty
Yeah,
much,
authority. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Jesus has authority now, right? Jesus
yeah.
ascended and has authority over heaven and earth. So Jesus
Right, by
has
saying yes.
reclaimed earth. Jesus reclaimed earth for humanity, although
Yeah, and
most people don't.
that's what I was thinking when our last podcast, since time has gone by. So my thought was that because we established that Nephilim's descendants were living in that whole region there,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and that God was clearing them all out to reclaim the land. So
yeah,
that whole thing was taken over by Nephilim and their false gods and
yeah,
demonic,
yeah.
whatever. But Jesus came, so he came in that, like the region of Galilee and all of that. So Yahweh was clearing all that whole thing out and preparing for Jesus when he came a couple thousand, whenever after that.
Well, then, like you said, Jesus did all these exorcisms.
Yeah. Oh,
He
yeah.
was
Yeah. Yeah.
healing. All these
Oh,
people were like demonically possessed. They're according to like Book of Enoch, and demons originate from the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim.
yeah. Okay.
So
So
it's
I
so
forgot
it's
about that. Good
go
thing you
ahead, go
reminded me.
ahead,
So,
state your thesis.
so yeah. So because there were all these Nephilim people, that giants that God was clearing out and conquering, and the Canaanites, which were all connected to all that, plus so because they're Nephilims, they died, which we know they died because they were conquered, then that means their spirit is not like our spirit. I think that's where the theory is that demons come from, right? Is Nephilim, dead Nephilims, right?
Yeah.
So if you had all these dead Nephilims, and then their spirit went into the people that were living there,
Hmm.
and then all of a sudden Jesus comes, and all the miracles that he was doing with every single one, he was casting out those demons
Yeah.
because that's what was plaguing that area with all the demonic activity and dead Nephilim spirits, which I think that's a pretty deep.
Yeah.
I mean, I
It's
never
clean.
saw it that way before.
Yeah.
But when we
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
last podcast, I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's a connection, and it's kind of like sacred space because the whole earth was originally created to be a temple, and a temple is where heaven and earth meet, where people can talk to God basically, and you know, so that will be restored again. That's the new creation. It
Yeah,
will
he's
all the
been
whole world will be a
restoring.
temple again.
Yeah. So he's been restoring this whole time. Yahweh, who's Jesus, has been taking these people, putting his spirits among them and blessing them and clearing out the lands, clearing out all the Nephilim's children, whatever. And he's preparing for Jesus. Like the prophecy then is all leading up to Jesus, who just said that he would be the one. What was that
And he
prophet?
kind of finishes the job, right? Like the people themselves cannot get rid of the demons, but Jesus could do that. And then
Right.
the Spirit did empower people to be able to do that afterwards, the 12
Yep.
apostles. But right here, remember, just in this book of Numbers here, the Spirit of God came upon him. And this is Pentecost, Acts 2. The Spirit of God is Jesus went, Jesus said, "Hey, I'll send my advocate, whatever he calls it. I'll send the paraclete. I'll send my whole spirit." Jesus goes to heaven on the
Yeah.
clouds of heaven, by the way, but and sends his spirit, pours his spirit out on the people, on the apostles, and then on other people. So the Spirit of God came upon Balaam right
Yeah.
here, of all people. And we you see this sometimes in the Old Testament, right? Moses had the Spirit.
Well, that's the Trinity. So it's showing us.
Joshua,
Yeah.
Joshua. I'm
So
kind
the
of
only
losing my
thing that
mind.
hasn't manifested yet is the word into flesh, which is what we're reading. That'll eventually manifest into the flesh to be like us. So that's kind
Oh,
of pretty cool, though. So all this
spoiler
time,
alert. Yeah. So all right.
all
So
that
let's
thought
read this.
all that thought for
Yeah,
a
one
second.
from Jacob will have dominion. What are you going somewhere? What happened?
I had to close the
All right.
my fridge started opening up on its own.
Oh, that's kind of
Trying to
weird.
fit it again.
Demonic. That's the demons.
No, it just I stopped it.
All right. Well, so again, we're on the
Okay, I'm back.
Oracle of Balaam, which is a end times prophecy. All right, so let's read this. Let's continue on with this Oracle of Balaam
Yeah.
here. And one from Jacob shall have dominion, and will make the survivor perish from the city. Then he looked at Amalek. These are the Amalekites who we
Yeah.
talked about before, and took up his discourse and said, uh, Amalek was the first of the nations, but so Amalek was the first of the nations apparently.
What
Um,
nations is he
the
talking about?
Amalekites. Now, weren't these guys hold on here. These guys are the giants, aren't they? The
Oh,
Amalekites.
yeah, aren't they from that? What
Remember? The
was the
tall,
name that they used before? Um,
the Rephaim. These are the,
yeah. Okay,
where's
so
my,
they, yeah, but I think we did end up talking about that similar word, Anak, Anna something,
oh, that was the Anakim.
Anakims, but
Yeah.
Amalek are
Amalek,
not Anakims.
hold on here. Amalekites have escaped. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of fading away, to be honest,
All
because
right,
of
we'll
my
just finish
health
this
issues.
chapter today.
Balaam, um, we're on the last chapter anyway.
Oh, we are?
Yeah.
I thought we were still doing the first chapter.
22, 23, 24. We're on chapter 24 right now.
Oh, nice. Okay, great.
So before I pass out,
So we only have a few more verses to go.
Amalek was the first of the nations, but his end shall be destruction. Well, there you go. Right.
Yeah.
So either way, they're an enemy of. I have like a whole list of verses about Amalek. I just don't have the strength right now to get into
Well,
that.
we'll talk about it
Sorry.
next time to tie.
Yeah. And they come up in again in the
All
Bible.
right.
Then he looked at the Kenite and took up. Do you want to read the rest of it?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm kind of losing my.
Okay. And he took up the Kenite and took up his discord and said, your habitation is enduring, and your nest is set in the cliff. Nevertheless, Cain will be consumed, and how long will Ashur keep you captive? Then he took up his discord and said, Woe, who can live except when God has ordained it? But ships shall come from the coast of Kittim, and they shall afflict Assur and then afflict Eber, so they will also come to destruction. And then Balaam arose and went to return to his place, and Balak also went his way.
That's the end of it.
So where is Eber and Kittim
Well, who knows? I don't know.
and Asher?
Uh,
Um,
Asher, these could be kingdoms.
it's not on those maps.
Asher is a son of Shem. Is a person, tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're all tribes.
Asher, yeah. It's not, I don't think it's on this map here. Doesn't matter. They're all around here somewhere.
I see something.
Doesn't matter.
What is that? Right by Dibon. What is that word?
I don't know. It's too small.
And
Can't see
it's
it.
all right. Well, anyway, that's good that we covered it. I actually thought we were still in first chapter.
Yeah.
I didn't see how they keep
These are
scrolling.
short. Yeah.
Awesome.
So, so the enemies of God and the enemies of God's plan and his people will be destroyed.
Yeah, so the moral of the story was that God ordained.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, go
I was
ahead.
going to say that, even though the king tried really, really hard to get them cursed, God stepped in and he says no. And he used Balaam to tell him that, which I think he's a man of God up to this point.
Well, okay. So, well, we're going to see. I know what happened to Balaam. Now, this story ends right here. Like Balaam went and returned to his place,
Yeah,
and Balak also went his way. So that's really the end of these two people in
right?
this narrative. But do you want to?
What happens to
I
Balaam? I'm
almost. Do you
curious.
want to know? I almost should I? Do
Yeah,
you want
I
to know
don't like
now?
cliffhangers.
Well, I do.
What happened to Balaam?
All right. This is Numbers 31. I have a list of passages about Balaam. We should go through that now if you want.
Yeah.
Unless I might pass out, and if
No,
that
don't pass
happens, you could just
out.
end the call.
No, don't pass.
Behold, these caused the sons of Israel through the word of Balaam to
So should we
act
ask
unfaithful.
everybody to bless you so you can be healed since we talked about blessings
Maybe.
and cursings? So
So
every
anyway, so what does it say here? Wait, is that the right verse? Um, oh, here it is. Sorry, that was the wrong one. They killed the kings of Midian. This is Numbers 31. They killed the kings of Midian along with the rest of their slain. The five kings of Midian. They also killed Balaam, the son of Beor, with the sword. Oh, there's the sword again. They
uh-oh.
killed Balaam. They killed him.
Why?
Well, we'll get to that. That's Numbers 31. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say
Got a
for
while
now.
to go then.
And uh, and basically next week, just a little preview of next week. I just don't have the strength to do this right now, but
Oh, so
look
now
at
the
just look at
God
the
of
heading,
law.
right? So okay, so this is the end of the story today, and then next week, Israel sacrifices to Baal.
Yes.
They're not supposed to
Okay.
be doing that, are they?
Yeah, so in that area, since they were always, they just showed what happened to Balak worshiping on all these high places to Baal. But those places were overlooking Israel. And because uh, the cursing wasn't allowed to happen, so that meant that they started intermingling with those people.
Well, yeah, they actually started messing around with the Moabite women and
Yeah,
and getting after their
they were right
gods. And then so
there.
what happened is people blame Balaam for this, basically. Although it's
But
not
it
in this
wasn't
narrative here,
God.
like Balaam doesn't tell him to do this, but later on, okay, let's just go through some. I have some Balaam verses.
All right.
The sons of Israel also killed Balaam, the son of Beor, the diviner, with the sword. Okay, some of these may or may not be relevant. Uh, okay, so let's see here. Balak. Um, okay, let's see here. Balak. So now are you any better than Balak, the son of Zippor? So there's Balak. There's about Balak who
Yeah.
strove with Israel. Kamesh, your god, right? That's the Moabite god.
Right.
So they were polytheists, right? They always had more than one
Yeah.
god anyway. Like um uh no Ammonite, no Moabite should ever enter the assembly of God because they did not meet the sons of Israel bread and water. They hired Balaam
Balaam against them
against them to curse
to curse
them. So
them.
yeah, the Moabites hired Balaam. However, our God turned the curse into a blessing. Yes.
Okay, so this story is going back to what we just read, this verse.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I'm showing. There's a lot of verses that go back to the Balaam story that we just read.
Yeah, but he obeyed God though. He did
Well,
bless.
this is about the Moabites themselves.
Right.
So
Which
yeah,
we
they're
know
kind of
they were
blaming the
wicked.
Moabites. The Moabites hired,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Hired Balaam. So they're kind of blaming the Moabites more and sometimes.
Yes.
Um,
And they couldn't go into the assembly of God, which is
yeah.
pretty
Let's
important.
okay, here's a Balaam verse. Remember now what Balak king of Moab counseled and what Balaam son of Beor answered him. Um, okay, anyway, okay, here's one. For they have gone the way of Cain, this is Jude, and
Mhm.
for pay they have poured themselves into the error of Balaam.
Woe to them who's gone to the way of Cain. Well, Cain was a murderer, and for
What's the what's
uh,
the error of Balaam?
I think he must have worshipped the god of Baal, which was offering up children to it or Moloch.
Okay, and now here's is Revelation 2. There's Balaam. Do you have
Teachings of Balaam. That's what the problem was.
can you read this?
Yeah, I
Read
have
this
a
whole
few things
verse.
against you. You have there some who hold the teachings of Balaam, who kept teaching the Balak to put stumbling block before the sons of Israel, to eat things sacrificed to idols, and to commit sexual immorality. So that became his curse. He went from following Yahweh to then teaching sexual immorality and sacrifices to idols.
Yeah, so I think they're basically blaming Balaam for this, what we're going to read about next week, because
Yeah,
that's what they
but it
do.
also
But
said that
it
Balaam,
doesn't say he did that.
he was teaching from the teachings of Balak. So somehow, because it says teachings of Balaam, who kept the teachings of Balak,
Who kept teaching Balak?
who kept teaching Balak.
Wait,
Yeah. So
you have there some who hold the teaching of Balaam, who
who
kept
kept
teaching
teaching
Balak
Balaam.
to put a stumbling. I don't know. Yeah, it almost seems like it could be that we're just not getting the whole story here, because here they just
Yeah.
suddenly start they're conflating, because Balaam is not really mentioned here directly. He's kind of gone away, but yet the Israelites. So I think what happened basically is that they couldn't curse Israel, so they came up with a new strategy to
Which is
seduce
to
Israel
assemble
into
them.
with these women, which is what I'm saying
Yeah.
is like the entertainment industry, the mass media kind of does this job today for
Well,
us.
they
You know what I mean?
corrupted them. So that's
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah. Don't
saying
curse
that
them, but
because,
corrupt them. Yeah.
yeah, because the high mountains, they were looking down at them. They covered the land. So they said, all right, if you're not going to allow to curse them, let's just integrate and make them corrupt. And that's
Yeah.
was easy to do, I guess.
Yeah.
because we know all the later stuff that happened right after this, which they were starting to worship a lot of idols, right? And even offering their children
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
Moloch.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is, the second generation. They're kind of right here. Where's my other map? They're here camped out, about to go to the promised land here, but they start whoring around with the Moabite women and worshiping their gods,
Yeah,
similar to what Solomon did as well, where it all kind of started
yeah.
again. Um, you know, so big mistake. So this is the second generation who kind of seems better than the first generation, but this this was a huge problem. So we're going to see the same thing, right? Rebellion, judgment, which often involves God, killing some Israelites, and then repentance and mercy. That same cycle again,
Yeah.
as usual, which has kind of happened so many times in the book of
So
Numbers.
when I do the thumbnail for today's, it's going to be the
Yeah,
talking donkey.
yeah, yeah. Can you put the assassin angel in there as well
I'll try.
somehow?
Assassin angel with the donkey. I'll try.
And Balaam, yeah. But I
Uh,
think that's, this is an important story. This is a, really interesting story, pretty unique.
yeah, I think
And
it's a hugely important story because people use
yeah,
verses from that it's
yeah.
affecting us for God knows how long, at
Oh,
least 80
I,
years.
there's another verse, for some reason. Was that on my, it wasn't on my list for some reason. Okay, this is maybe the best, another really good verse. So let me clean this up a little bit. Oh, I
Forsaking the
can't.
right way,
Anyway,
they have gone astray, having followed the way of Balaam, son of Beor, who loved the wages of unrighteousness. So he went from righteousness, not taking all that money, to now taking the money and becoming
well,
unrighteous.
I mean, yeah, it never said he took the money though, did it?
No, in the old
Actually.
one he didn't, but what this is saying, that he began doing that for unrighteousness. So he started taking money. Who loved the
Well, no,
wages of
no, well,
unrighteousness.
he loved the wages of unrighteousness. That could be a general statement because he was a diviner. He got money
Yeah,
to
it is a general
that. Generally
statement.
speaking, that was his occupation. But in this case, in the story we read, he didn't actually. I don't think he actually took any money, to be
He
honest.
didn't. So in that story, he followed God. But
Yeah, 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 yeah,
after
yeah.
he left,
He
he
went
got
back to his job.
corrupted. Yes.
Yeah,
Because
maybe.
now he's
Yeah,
teaching the way of Balak to other people,
he
and he
he could
started
hit. Oh, yeah,
and he
yeah.
started loving the wages of unrighteousness. So then, because Yahweh wasn't with him all the time, speaking to him anymore, he got corrupted with the practices of that day around those people, and they were probably offering money to do a lot of stuff.
I think I know what happened is uh in Revelation here. Um, this is what happened here. Balaam finally told Balak, "Hey, here's an idea. Get these, corrupt the Israelites. We cannot curse them, but we can get them to sin themselves." Right?
Right?
That's what
Teaching,
happened.
but that's a teaching of Balaam who kept the teaching of Balak.
Who,
So
no,
he
no, no. He
learned it
kept
from
teaching.
Balak.
No, it says it says he kept teaching. Balaam
Oh,
taught
he
Balak.
who kept teaching Balak to put a
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
stumbling block. Okay, so he's teaching Balak to eat the sacrifice to idols and commit sexual
No,
what?
sons of Israel, slow down. The teaching of Balaam. Balaam kept teaching Balak, the king of
Yes, to
Moab,
put
to
a
put a
stumbling
stubble
block.
in black before the Israelites.
Yeah, so he's
So
telling
the
them,
Israelites ate things sacrificed to idols and
right?
committed sexual immorality. Pornea, by the way.
Yeah, so but it was
And
Balaam's idea.
yes, yes, that's what
So
it says
how
here.
do
But
you
that's in
turn?
Revelation. We finally kind of get that detail in Revelation.
Yeah,
So You know what I'm saying?
So
So,
he started practice because he loved the wages of unrighteousness. He wanted money after that.
well, we don't know when. I would say
Well, he just turned down.
God used Balaam for that specific time and for a specific purpose. And then it's possible Balaam just went on his way after that. We don't really know what Balaam did after that, although we do know that he got killed. And in fact, to be honest, we're going to see it'll make more sense to us what happened to Balaam. Why did they kill Balaam? And why does Revelation say what it says there? After we read,
All
from here
right.
to chapter 31, we're going to see what happened to these Israelites. They start sacrificing to Baal,
All
which
right.
I don't think they've gone that far yet, have they, in this story? They had the
No.
golden calf. They had the golden calf, and they wanted to go back to Egypt and all this stuff. But now even the second generation is see they're whoring around with the daughters of Moab,
And
and
that was a
then they
downfall every time
sacrifice to
when they
the
picked up
yeah.
women from
It's
other.
the women, man.
Well, yeah, then I
Watch out.
guess you have to have Yahweh believing women or
That's
Jesus.
the weakness, man. I mean, women. The
What can
Nephilim,
I
even
say?
the sons of God came to earth because of the
Because we
women.
like shiny things. I don't know. What else can we say? Anybody's gonna get
Women, man,
things.
dangerous. Eve, look at Eve. Look at what Eve did.
I know we are not all Eves. There's all these women that are
Wow.
following the ways of God, and I made a story of one of them. All right.
Right. All right. So
Tired.
that's next week. I gotta go. I think
I'll
I'm
shoot. Yeah.
dying.
All right. Well,
All
thank you
right.
so much. I'm glad you were able to do today. You do have to get better though, and not
Well,
fade away.
yeah, I don't have a flu or anything like that. It's something
No,
else.
I
So
know,
anyway,
and I want everybody to pray for you to give you that blessing to get
yeah.
healed. I pray for
All
you
right.
so you get
All right.
healed, and you
Thank
will.
you.
Hopefully, the
Appreciate it.
doctors will figure out what the heck is going on.
That's not their job. Their job is to take our money.
Yes, but God could send the right people. I've seen that
That's
happen.
true. God could use one of them, like
Yeah,
Balaam, right?
right. And
All
He will
right.
give you the answers, hopefully.
All
All
right.
right. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks a lot. See you later. Thanks, everybody. Bye.